Hello and welcome to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I am your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. I think we're going to go over what we've been playing. We got a lot of emails. You guys explosively responded to controversial gaming opinions. So we got quite a few of those to go over when we get there. Quite a few. So, I'm going to kick it off because I think I'm the only person that's played the big game of the week, or at this point, let's say the month. Because like, what other huge game comes out this month? Everything moved, right? Like, it wasn't Redfall.
No, so, I mean, it's easily the biggest game of the year so far. And it's got, I would argue, two or three more contenders, I think, after this. But I think this is number one for sure.
For sure. That would be Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So I have played. It's hard for me to say how much I played because you know how the Switch does that. Like, it doesn't tell you the time until you hit like 10 days after you've played the game and the little profile thing.
Yeah.
And I'm on like day 8. So, but if I were to guess, probably about 35 hours I've put into it now. Barely scratching the surface of this game. So, because I've done the same thing I did with the last one, which is I finished the tutorial area and then I am just exploring and like doing a little bit of the main quest, but just seeing what's happening here, what's happening there. And we'll get into it because like, obviously I can answer the big questions. Like question number 1, does this game work without issues? It does, shockingly. There is a day one patch. My understanding is because the Digital Foundry did a video. My understanding is before the day one patch, there were some very big frame rate issues that were addressed. Mm-hmm. The only time you can really tank the frame rate now is certain areas. If you turn on that Ultra Hand ability, it will tank the frame rate.
I'm not
building certain things, but it's not like it evens itself out very fast. It's not like, oh wow, I can't get back to normal. This game's broken.
Any kind of builder mode in any game, even on like PCs, always makes a game like chunks because it has a lot of stuff it has to do behind the scenes.
Absolutely, but like any of my other fears about it, like now it's shockingly somehow bigger and better than Breath of the Wild, at least from what I've played. One very big thing about it that somehow they kept this under wraps, like through, I'm talking everything. So like any pre-release footage, I don't even think they talked about this really in reviews or anything, but, there is an entire map underneath the map.
Oh God.
In an area called the Depths.
Excellent.
And the Depths, think of the Depths like Blight Town from Dark Souls.
Right.
Except you have to light it up because it's all dark.
Interesting.
And it's full of spooky versions of monsters and stuff. So that's a big part of the game. The sky stuff, like, you know, when you watch the pre-release footage of the game, I was like, I don't really think that looks like that big of a deal. Like, no, you're really high up in the air.
Yeah. Like
they make it a dramatic thing when you were flying in, like from one of the sky islands into the actual map. Like it's a big fucking deal. It's pretty crazy and it works. It reminds me of like whenever you jump out of like a plane or something in Just Cause, think like that.
Okay.
Like just massive scope like that. You can use your glider. Obviously glider depends on how much stamina you have. Everything from Breath of the Wild returns. Like, so if the first thing I'll say right off the bat is this is not a Zelda sequel, this is a sequel to Breath of the Wild. Right. So if you didn't like Breath of the Wild, you're not going to like this game because it's more of the same. It has the same engines. It has the same mechanics. So if you were hoping like, oh, this will, you know, that Breath of the Wild didn't really click for me as a Zelda fan, but this will, it doesn't fix those things. So you have to look at it that way. So, but with that being said, I really like Breath of the Wild. This is like, at times it makes Breath of the Wild seem like a rough draft of what they wanted to do with how much is in it. Like, you remember, like, even like in Breath of the Wild, wandering around the world, it's like, it's kind of empty, but like you'll run across this is more full up with shit.
Okay.
There's a lot more going on. My first thing, so I'll tell you my first thing that fucked my mind. I did the tutorial area, and we'll talk about that for a minute, because I think that's one of the weaker parts of the game. But once I finished the tutorial and I head down to the surface and I hit the ground, I'm just walking around, starting to explore. A fucking tree just starts chasing me. Like a tree.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is not going to be the game that I thought it was going to be. So that's pretty wild. So let's talk about the train areas. So the thing I really like about Breath of the Wild in comparison to this game, Breath of the Wild, that training area is like maybe 45 minutes, if that. And it's very simple. You do like 4 little shrines. You jump off that area.
You can extend it if you want, but
you can, but it's pretty short. And then you're off to do whatever you want to do. You want to go try and fight Ganon? Sure. Unless you're a speedrunner and know what you're doing, you're going to get your ass kicked. This game, the tutorial area is in the Sky Islands. For me, it took me, and I spent more time because I was exploring everything, but it took me like 4 hours to get off that Sky Island area. Like this, and it's a big area.
Okay.
Much bigger than the tutorial area from the first game. And the reason for it is they teach you how to do all these different abilities with the Ultra Hand.
Okay. So the Ultra, that's got to be a big part of it, right? Because we're building the whole game around this thing.
Right. This game starts exactly how that first trailer, like identical, all the way down to like the same weird font and text of like, it just goes, here it is, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's you and fucking Princess Zelda going down into that like cave area.
Yeah.
And then you kind of explore with her. She kind of finds out some like backstory to how Hyrule was created. And then you find the spooky dude in the cavern that kind of comes alive, and he breaks the Master Sword. And then of course there's a thing where later on because you have all your hearts, right, from the first game. And then, so you have like full health and everything. And then in order to open this one door, it sucks all those hearts. So that's how you lose that. Of course.
They had to explain it. Yeah.
They have to give you an explanation, but that's how you lose that stuff. And obviously the Master Sword is shattered from this like spooky dude down there. And I don't know much more about that character other than that. Like, that's the only time I've seen him. Then he kind of uproots everything. So they call that event in the game, it's called the upheaval, is what the people refer to it as. So you have the Sky Islands, you have the depths, which is like the area below the map, which I have not really explored that yet. But I've read about it, I've seen stuff on it. I'm excited to go explore that. Because it sounds really wild.
Right.
But I'm just exploring the regular map. You have to do the same thing. So there are towers. This time they are called Sky Towers, but you don't climb them like you did in the first game. In this one, instead, you have your little, like, it looks like a fucking switch, the thing that he holds, like the little device.
Sure, yeah.
But basically, you have to go to each tower. You plug it in, and then it'll shoot you up, and you have to take pictures with it, and that kind of unveils this region of the map.
Okay.
But each time you go to one, there's a different way you have to get it open. So each one is kind of a puzzle. Like this one, you might have to manipulate these blocks to climb up to the top of it. This one, you might have to go underneath it and use that ascend ability, which basically lets you like float underneath, like through rocks up to the surface, which is kind of a cool ability.
Oh, okay.
My understanding, that ability was a glitch in the game that they just turned into an ability when they were making it.
Yeah.
Because they said it was so much fun. Which is, that's fine. It's cool. But there are also like, I didn't know if they were going to bring back shrines. There are shrines in the game. I will say they're more in depth this time. And all of them pretty much revolve around those abilities. So building something, using that Ultra Hand to rewind time, using that ascend ability, like each one of them, like pretty much requires you to use one of those abilities or a multitude of them. So, but again, I'm just exploring the world, finding different things. I found one mission where it was like this dude's hiding out in front of a cave, and he's like, I need to go in, but I'm afraid to go into this cave because there's this weird creature in there that I need to kill to get something. And so I went in there. I didn't have arrows at the time, so I left and was like, whatever. Went over to this nearby stable area, bought some arrows, and then I was just walking back, and I found a hole in the ground. And I'm like, what's this fucking hole? And I jumped down. It's just another entrance to that cave.
Cool.
So like I jump down, I just jump right into the cavern with that creature, and I'm like, I guess this is happening, and I killed it. So, but like that kind of stuff is cool. Like I didn't expect that. So, also like it will read your save from the first game. So like if you had horses or anything, like you can pull those horses into this game.
That's neat.
So like I have my like super maxed out horse from Breath of the Wild I can use, and that's pretty cool. So it does have some of that stuff. I bought that one amiibo. I use the amiibo. It gives you some cool items, but nothing crazy.
Right.
So, and my understanding, you can use more. I got to find I don't know where my amiibo.
You're supposed to be able to use every Zelda amiibo.
Zelda one to do something. I got to find them. So I don't know where they are. They're in a box somewhere. I'm having a blast. Like the thing I told Matt is like, no game this year, and maybe even to an extent last year, has pulled me in the way this game, where it's like, this is all I want to do is play this game. Like nothing has done that. And it's ironic. It's the fucking Switch, the system that I haven't wanted to use for like 2 years.
Wow.
And now it's just like, no, this is all I want to do is play this game. So I have not tried it in handheld mode. I don't know if I maybe I will, but I have 2 Switch docks on 2 different TVs. So I don't really need to.
Yeah.
I just, if somebody's using the TV in the living room, I just come into the office and play in here. So, but I'm having a blast with it. It's easily a front runner for game of the year, and I've barely scratched the surface of stuff in that game. Like I'm still doing the first like very main mission where it's like you need to go to these 4 regions, because again I just keep bumbling into things like, here's this dude on the road. Well, why is he hurt? Well, he needs help doing this. Okay, let's go find out.
Yeah, this. The structure of it definitely reminds me of like a Fallout game or something, where like you definitely have a plan, but then like there's so many interesting side things that'll just get you completely off of that plan.
And again, like Breath of the Wild, you will get your ass handed to you.
Right.
Like it does not hold your hand for anything. Like it gives you your little tutorial. Granted, it's a little bit bigger in this game because you have to learn how to use Ultra Hand, but like once you hit the ground, it don't hold your hand anymore. The gloves are off. Like you have to learn all this stuff for yourself.
Well, hey, this game coming out made me put Breath of the Wild in my Switch.
There you go. Ooh, okay.
Because the more I read about this one and like you talking about it, I really do want to play this game, but I'm not going to play this game until I beat Breath of the Wild.
And that's the thing. Like you can,
I feel like you could, I guess, if you wanted to, but I mean, in my head, it doesn't make sense.
And that's the other thing I'll say is like one of the other like huge questions about this game was, is this the same map as the last game? It is and it isn't. Like there's enough of it that has changed because of the events. There are certain areas that are affected by extreme weather patterns now. So like you might go, there's one area, the desert area, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you go there, they won't even let you bring a horse in there. Okay. And they're just like straight up like, okay, during the day, it's way too hot. And when it gets cold, it's way too cold. Your horse will die. Like you have to leave your horse here. So you either have to have like the right kind of armor, or you have to make enough of the right kind of food to have like those buffs to get through. Which is cool, but like each area is different. Like Kakariko Village, like that looks the same when you go in it. Like the actual village has not really changed that much, but like everything surrounding it has. There's the other village from the first game. I think it's called Rito Village, but it's the one with like the bird people.
Okay,
and it's like a little island, right? Like that's completely covered in snow now, and just all fucked up. Those people are like, what's happening? When you go there, like. So, and then a lot of it too is like, well, you need to figure out how to get over to this area because the bridge is broken. Guess what that involves? Building shit.
Yep.
So, and that stuff is extremely fun to do though. Like that's the thing. It's extremely fun to go, okay, well, I can do this. Like I can attach this rocket thing to this rock and see if it'll shoot me up far enough into the sky to do this. And that works. So,
well, because the joke was when they first showed it, you and I were like, wow, it's just Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like just building vehicles and stuff. But it sounds like there's a lot more to it than just, building vehicles.
Right.
It's actually like building structures and stuff to get
there is for sure.
Yeah.
So and the thing that's funny about it too is like there's all like as you walk around the map, there's all sorts of like piles of wood and stuff because after the events of the first game, they were planning on rebuilding some of these small towns.
Okay.
So they have an explanation for why there's shit everywhere.
Sure.
So it's not just like, oh, here's this pile of wood. Like, why is that here? So they've actually taken the time to like explain why this is here, why that's here, which is cool. I really don't have anything negative to say other than I think the tutorial area is too long. like, because at some point I was like, I need to get off of this Sky Island.
Yeah.
And and that's not the only island in the sky. There's a bunch of those too. So some of them even have those shrines that you have to get up there and get into. Each one has like a different way you can get across to it as well. Some of them have like rail carts and like railroad tracks. So you have to build like a cart, and then you have these little fan things, and then kind of zoom over to the other island if you can.
Okay.
It's really cool. I guess without really like, there is basically in this game, and that's the Ultra Hand ability comes from. There's a race that created everybody in Hyrule called the Zonai.
Okay.
And the main Zonai guy that kind of created everything, this is my understanding of the character. He's kind of like a ghost, but after the events of what happens in the beginning with the ghost guy or the spooky dude in the dungeon, you get that Zonai guy's arm because your arm gets corrupted by this gloom stuff. Yeah. Okay. So you have this blue arm. So like if you look at that amiibo, that's why his hand's blue.
Okay.
But that's what they call the Ultra Hand ability, which again, I missed opportunity. They could have called it God Hand.
Or it could be after the hit Xbox game Breakdown. Remember where you get that?
There you go, like Breakdown. Yeah, like they had some opportunities there, but I'm having a blast with it. Like I've played one other game, which we'll briefly talk about because it's an older game, but like this is all I've played. I've turned on my Xbox to either watch something or make sure it's not like dead, and like I've even turned on my PlayStation over a week. So the only other thing I've played, and the only reason I've even touched this is because my girlfriend is playing a shit ton of this. I don't know if you've ever heard of this game. I'll explain what it is, and you probably will be into it after I tell you what it is, but it's called Immortal Redneck. It came out, it's been a while. It came out like early. The way I heard about it was a Metal Jesus video back like when the Switch came out.
Okay.
So I originally played it on the Switch, and then I found out like, oh, it's on the Xbox. It's on PlayStation. Okay. Think of it as like if somebody took Doom and made it a rogue game. That's what it is.
Okay.
So like there are 3 different pyramids. Like you're a redneck trapped in this like in like Egypt, and you are mummified. You can call upon like different powers from different Egyptian gods, but the whole point is you have to do runs through these pyramids. And it plays just like Doom, like very fast paced. It's a fantastic game. For whatever reason, my girlfriend picked it back up after not playing it for a while. And then I played a little bit of it before Zelda came out just cause I needed something to play and I didn't want to like dive into anything heavy, but I actually watched her beat it this weekend. So she actually beat the 3rd pyramid, and now it unlocked like a 4th pyramid that's like a mix of each one of them, but it's a fantastic game. I highly recommend it. If you're into Doom and you like roguelike games, that's exactly what it is. So it's been out for a while, but it is an X-enhanced game, and I would assume it runs just as well on the PlayStation. So, but probably. It is one of those. Yeah. So like if you have I would say this, if you have the opportunity to not play it on the Switch, don't play it there because it doesn't run as good there.
Well.
But that wraps it. I mean, that's pretty much, it's just Zelda for me. So, we can move on to you, Dan. What have you been playing?
So I'm kind of in the same mode as you, where I'm not trying to get into anything too like major, just because Diablo is soon, and then I've got a couple weeks till Final Fantasy. So a lot of it's been cleanup. Like I finally finished like Platinum to Warriors All Stars, which is that Musou game where it's like, Dead or Alive characters and Ninja Gaiden and Tokuden and basically all the like their brands of stuff made into one Musou game. I really like that game. The platinum for that game is such a pain in the ass. It's not worth it because
it seems like it would be for any of those.
It's actually the thing is for most of the game, most trophies are easy where it's like get different endings. Okay, fine.
Okay,
and in a way, the game kind of tells you what you need to do to get to endings, but it can be confusing. But there are 2 trophies in the game that are they take forever because there's not a great way to either get them to happen or to track how much of something you've done. So one of them is you have to get, there's like a bathhouse in the game where you can visit, and you need to get a scene from every character in the game in that bathhouse. And the problem with that is it's mostly random, if it'll happen or not. And if it doesn't happen, then the only way to try again is you have to leave, go beat a mission, and come back. So you can't just like reload or anything. No, it doesn't matter. You have to constantly keep doing it. That one was kind of a pain, but at least it's manageable. The other one, the last one I had for a long time, was you have to do every battle in the game at least once. Not a huge problem, but certain battles only unlock with certain prerequisites, and clearing certain battles locks you out of others. So you constantly are having to like finish it in New Game Plus and New Game Plus and New Game Plus, which is okay because it saves everything. The game does not keep track of which battles you've cleared.
Okay.
You cannot look that up within the game. So you have to keep track of it yourself. And I didn't realize that until I had already played through multiple endings and all this other stuff. So I literally had to take time and go back and replay almost every battle to figure out which, 1, 2, or 3 of them I'd actually missed.
Okay.
And that
can be annoying.
It was awful. It added an extra, I don't know how many hours to constantly replay the same things over and over again just to try to figure out which battles I missed. And then, of course, the last one I missed was a recruitment mission, which I never had to do because of the way that I played the game beforehand. I had the character, so I never had to recruit him.
Yeah.
And then I realized it late. I'm like, I don't think I ever had a scenario where I had to recruit him. So then I had to play through a certain pathway through this game, which was like 6 missions deep, to even unlock his recruitment mission to do it. And then it popped and went, thank God. So that game's over. It's done. It's deleted. Really good. I'd like to own a physical copy of it just because I like the game so much, but whatever. I played that Sackboy game just because it's free now. If you haven't played it, it's a Little Big Planet 4 or 5 or so, whatever number it would technically be now. Just without like the creative stuff. It's more just
it's
just
more
play
like
through
a Mario World type thing, like
kind
Mario
of
3D World.
You remember how the levels are? You go from point A to point B. That's basically all it is. It's a fun little thing to play through a couple levels at a time. And then they had that free pool blitz game came out, which if you like playing pool, it's free to play. It is microtransaction to hell, but you don't have to spend any
free
money.
To play is
It reminds me a lot of, you remember, God, this is dating myself, but probably like 20 years ago, you'd go on like Yahoo and play pool against random people, and shit like that. That's basically what this is. It's just on a better pool table because it's all online. Like you have to be matched against somebody else, but apparently it's multi-platform, so like it'll cross-play stuff.
Okay,
but I really get mid 2001-ish Yahoo vibes out of it.
Yeah,
so it's kind of funny just because it's just a glammed up version of that. But pool game, a pool game takes 10 minutes to play through, and it's something you can do without really thinking too much about it, and you can unlock shit which is pointless. But it's if you just want to play pool for a little bit, it's good. And then really the only like major odyssey I went through, and I talked to you about this already, Kyle, is You got
a game on here that I would put in the Hall of Fame of Xbox Live Arcade games.
I dug out.
You played it on the PlayStation.
Yeah, I dug out my PS3 in 2023. And I can't.
Sorry.
I can't tell you the last time this thing was hooked up. Okay. It probably would have been 15 years ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, no. I would have been at GameStop, so we're probably talking like 12 years ago. Just for the fact that I really wanted to play Crystal Defenders again.
Yes.
And that game only exists on 360 and PS3. Now you can play it on the One X.
It is backwards compatible, yeah.
But
you can play it on Series X.
I've been on that mission of like having all my PlayStation, all my Final Fantasy games on like the PlayStation ecosystem at this point.
Yeah.
And the only way to get it is to buy it on a PS3. But wait, there's more. You can't buy it on the PS3 per se, because while the PS3 store still exists and took forever to load on this system. Now, granted, I had to do updates and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, my only PS3 controller I could find, because a lot of it's packed away, is it has that problem where the sticks are greasy.
Yeah, I don't know why that.
I don't know what happened. That happened with later PS3 controllers where they naturally just sitting in air, like they get like a greasy like film
really
on
greasy.
It's gross. And I was like, man, I really don't want to use this. But then I remembered I did that Kickstarter right back to those wireless PlayStation controllers from Retro Fighters, and they're PS1, PS2, and PS3 controllers. So I got that thing out and hooked that up. And that's actually super solid controller. Okay. Like if you're someone who plays a PS1 or 2 or 3 regularly and wants a wireless controller, it's just a dongle and the controller. That's all it is. And it comes with a dongle for PS1, PS2, and PS3. And so I've been using that, which is great. But when I finally got the store to load, it would load, crash, like come back. You get to the point where you add it to your cart, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you can't buy games on here anymore. So what I had to do is I had to go on my PS5 and add money to the wallet, and then go back to the PS3 and spend it on the wall and spend it out of the wallet. That was insane.
That's bad.
There's also another weird thing that I learned during this where you don't log in with your PlayStation account like you normally would. Your password doesn't work. You have to go on a separate app to create a specific password for this console, which is insane to think about because you cannot make it. It's just a security password they built. Like there must be some kind of huge security problem with older PlayStation systems at this point.
There is the same with the 360 because like today, if you have
they don't update
any kind of if you have any kind of two-step authentication for an Xbox One and up for the 360, that doesn't exist. So you have to do some hoop jumping to get your account if your account is no longer on a 360. Get it put back on, because that was the problem I had when I hooked up that 360 a couple months ago. I had to jump through a lot of hoops, but now it's done. I don't have to worry.
Yeah, now it's done. It's not a big deal, but it's just like, wow,
it's a pain in the ass.
Hooking up a PS3 or a 360, this many years later is a process. And
it is.
So I got Crystal Defenders downloaded and played some of that. Great. But man, you want to talk about a process of getting something to work? Let's talk about how I also hooked up my PlayStation TV.
Yeah, the Vita.
Oh. Yeah. And that was even harder to do because so for that, I can't use that controller I just talked about. So I'm using a PS4 controller. Fine. Whatever.
Yeah, fine.
But I had to find a Vita memory card for it, which I was able to find one, which is good. Put that in there. That needed multiple updates. That needed,
of course,
the store. Because I was the whole point of this was I needed to get Adventures of Mana for Vita.
Yeah.
And, I honestly, I don't know where my Vita is right now, but I could find the TV. So whatever. Okay. Would jump through the hoops to get a password for that. Jump through the hoops to buy Adventures of Mana for that, and also to make sure that it was PlayStation TV compatible. Because remember, not every game is. And then here's the kicker: it did not recognize the memory card. But Vitas use proprietary memory cards. So I'm like, there's got to be something going on. I put it out, put it back in, nothing. And then finally got to a point where it would recognize it, but it said it wasn't formatted. Impossible, but fine. I don't really care. Whatever's on here, I could stand to lose, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So go ahead and format it. So I tell it to format it. It just stops. It just sits on this screen for, I think I let it sit there for like 10 minutes. And this is an 8 gig card. So there's no possible way it took that long.
Yeah.
And eventually I was like, well, we're going to have to completely risk it and just nuke it. So I yanked the power cord, let it sit, and plugged it back in. I said, hopefully I didn't, completely like corrupt this card to the point where I can't even reformat it anymore. Plug it back in, turn it back on. Memory card pops up. Everything that was on it is on it. So like, what? What? Like, it didn't even do anything. So what was it trying to do? It didn't erase any of it. Whatever. Got the game downloaded, booted it up, confirmed it works. Fine. But again, that took another 30 to 45 minutes to go through this process, just so I can play 2 games that are 15 years old.
Could you play Crystal Defenders on the Vita TV or no?
It says no.
That's
a PS3 game, which is not backwards or supported in any way. And the whole reason I even did this now is at some point you're not going to be able to do that, right?
You're not going to be able on the PlayStation. I'm not going to be able to get that game at all.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I have to do it now. I know where the PS3 is. I know where the TV is. Yeah. Let's just do it. It took forever, but it's worth it. And now I kind of have to go through and look for PS3 only games. That's the only way I can get them, because there are a couple I probably would want and need to dig through that store.
Crystal Defenders probably doesn't even have a platinum trophy, would it?
No, but it's got 12 trophies, but it doesn't have a platinum. But Adventures of Mana does. Okay. And that never came out physically, even for Vita. So, and that's a remake. The only reason I want that is a remake of Final Fantasy Legend. Or, no. It's either Legend or Adventure 1 for the Game Boy. Remade. So I do want to play through that, but because it's a Final Fantasy game technically. But yeah, that was probably the most fun thing I did. Like we talked about, I'm just killing time, and for what, 2 weeks?
Diablo's in 2 weeks. Yeah. 2-ish, 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5-ish weeks. And then, I play that for 2 weeks.
And you play Final Fantasy.
And I play Final Fantasy for however long that takes, and I can just go back to Diablo until Spider-Man comes out. I have it all planned out, but yeah, so that's pretty much all I did. I would recommend the Pool Blitz game just because it's fun, and if you want to bring back those vibes, and if you've never played Crystal Defenders and you have a way to buy it, it's a Final Fantasy tower defense game. That's all it is.
Hey man, that is the first tower defense game I ever played. When that game came out, I was staying at our mutual friend Ross's house. His brother still lived at home at the time. We probably spent when that came out, I bought it. Realized what it was. We spent 2 straight days just fucking taking turns playing that game.
It's not easy.
That game's it's not easy.
No,
it is not easy at all. But we had such a blast playing that game. It is an incredible.
It's a great tower defense game with Final Fantasy
and it is fully backwards compatible on the Xbox.
Yeah, so you can play it on Xbox, no problem.
Yeah,
I just have this thing about it. Yeah, I'm trying to get all the trophies and trying to make the ecosystem all work in one.
I did get the 200 achievements or whatever. But that game's a bitch.
Oh no, it's nuts. It's nuts, there's only 12 maps. I've done the first 4 so far. Okay. And then now that the PS3 has hooked up, now I can do my Final Fantasy 13 journey.
There you go.
Oh. So that's another reason I wanted it hooked up. But yeah, so that's it for me.
What model PS3 do you have?
Oh, this one I have. To be fair, I have a Slim. I'm playing on a good one. I have a Slim, but I'm playing on a Super Slim.
That's the top one,
the flimsy, the very flimsy, garbagey one. I don't know where my Slim is. It's probably that's why probably in the box somewhere.
That's a couple months ago when my girlfriend was like, "I want to play Arkham Origins. We should hook up the PS3." I'm like, "There's a better way to play that game now."
Yes.
I was like, because the whole thing was she wanted to start over anyway, so it wasn't like she was going to load up an old save.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I will hunt this down. You can play it on the Xbox. You do not want to turn on a PS3 in 2023.
No, it's not a fun process if you haven't hooked it up in a decade.
Yeah, I knew it would be a nightmare. That thing we just have sitting on a shelf. She has the Slim. It's the Slim one.
I will say the only redeeming thing about this is that controller I'm using is really good. It's very good. Yeah.
All right, how about you, Matt?
Still running Far Cry 5. Shadows of Mordor. I played some of that today too. There were 2 games I downloaded this week, and I started kind of dilly-dallying with them.
Okay.
There's one that dropped on Game Pass called Ravenlock.
Yeah, the Xbox kids have been talking about that game.
Yeah, it's an action adventure type game. It's not bad. The art style of it's pretty cool.
Okay.
It's not very open world, so it kind of keeps you limited as far as what you can do. Okay. But it takes a lot of things from. It feels very Alice in Wonderlandy.
Okay.
So your main villain is the Queen of Hearts type thing. There's a lot of bunnies with stopwatches, a lot of mushrooms come. I'm in the first probably part of it, and I'm fighting a lot of mushrooms that have been coming alive. So it feels very you're really an Alice, you're Alice in Wonderland type thing.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's actually pretty cool. She has magical powers. Right now I have this ice type ability where she shoots snowballs out at people, but they're homing snowballs. So like if like there are two enemies like close to each other, she shoots out a bunch of them and they kind of just zone in on whoever's near and it kind of hits them.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. It's actually it's actually quite fun. I've been having a good time with it. So I'm gonna try to dive into it this week more. But it was on Game Pass, and so I just downloaded it, figured I'd give it a playthrough, see if I like it. If I didn't, delete it. And
yeah, it sounds like it's a good Game Pass game.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I mean, I hate to like put stuff in that box, but yeah, it's a good Game Pass game. And then I last month PlayStation Plus gave Tales of Iron, I believe, for free.
Yeah.
And so I downloaded that and I started playing on that. That's like a side scroller type game.
Okay.
Another action adventure type thing, but you play as a rat who, if I'm correct, because there's no dialogue, it's a bunch of reading. So like if I remember correctly, it's a rat is trying to gain approval from his father, who's the king, to try and I guess overall become king once he passes.
Okay.
Oh damn, now that I'm thinking about it, I can't remember who the main villains are. Okay, well,
but it's like a platformer.
Yeah, it's like a platformer game.
Okay.
I mean, the rat's pretty cool. He's got he's pretty quick. I haven't gotten too far into it. I think I'm maybe like 45 minutes into it.
Okay.
But it's not bad. It's pretty colorful. It doesn't seem like it's going to take up a lot of time. So I think I'm just going to try to squeeze through that. And then, it's ironic you were talking about Just Cause, because I played through the third Just Cause game.
Okay.
Like, I'd probably say like 2 years ago, like COVID.
All right.
I want to say like maybe COVID hit.
Right when COVID hit? Okay.
Yeah. And I saw something online where a guy was just like standing in the middle of the road for Just Cause 3. And like literally chaos was just happening around him. Like cars were wrecking, people were flying all over the place. And he didn't move like not 1 inch. He just stood there and just watched all this chaos happen. And so I bought Just Cause 4, and I was actually thinking about plugging that back in.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've never played Just Cause 4 either.
Oh, so I mean, what I've gotten into
that one,
Just
I think,
Cause
has 4? Tornadoes and stuff. Wasn't that the big thing?
Like weather stuff or something.
Big weather system that they're running there. But it was ironic because I've been seeing like stuff on it now online, and I was like, maybe I should get back into playing.
I want to say I have it on one of the systems. Like they gave it out at some point, either PlayStation or Xbox. I don't remember, but I have not played 4. I have played the one I played the most of was 2. Oh, and then I did play through 3 as well. Yeah, but I never
was so much chaos. I fell in love with it. Like it was just it's insane the shit you can do.
Yeah.
But so that's all I've been playing. Ravenlock, Tales of Iron, and I'm gonna try and deep dive into both of those because I just need to start beating things and staying determined.
I can tell you, I updated my Steam Deck and I installed this 70 gigabyte Shadows of Mordor.
Oh man!
Because apparently that game is a highlight to play on the Steam Deck. Like it's supposed to run really good on there.
That game is just so much fun, man.
But then Zelda, like literally, I did that like 2 days before Zelda hit. So I haven't. Yeah, and I'm like, all right, maybe after Zelda, this will be my handheld game or something. But I do want to. That was ironically also on sale, like really dirt cheap on Steam, and I was like, no, if I'm going to play this, maybe I'll play it on the Steam Deck because that's a game that they highlight as one of the best to play there. So. But I do want to play it because I did love that original game. So
God, it's so good.
So, but we can flip over to the news. We got quite a big batch of news articles. The first thing we'll hit up with there's a bunch of PlayStation Showcase rumors and speculation. They did finally announce the PlayStation Showcase. It's on Wednesday afternoon. I don't remember what time. It's in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
There's so many like absurd rumors for this thing.
I told you I saw like a leaked like screenshot image of something going around.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk about like, Rebirth, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Death Stranding.
What would Final Fantasy Rebirth be? Would that just be
a sizzle, like a teaser? At best, it's a teaser. Right?
Okay.
Like, what else could it be? Like, they're not.
Yeah, but I mean, is it a remake of one of them or what?
No. Rebirth is 2. It's Final Fantasy 7 R2.
Okay. Oh,
because remember, it's remake, Rebirth, and
that's right. I forgot those games got different names.
Something. Yeah.
You know what though? Like, this is the time they have to talk about that, right?
They might as well. Well, the thing is like we know it exists. So
and now Final Fantasy 16 is less than a month away. Why don't you just start talking about that? You're not going to cannibalize Final Fantasy 16 sales.
No, you're not. They're different. They're different series, and even though they're different series, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You could release both of those games the same day.
It wouldn't.
And
matter.
I would be like, I'll take both of those games today, please.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like,
it doesn't matter.
Final Fantasy game doesn't mean shit.
Obviously, I think the Metal Gear Solid at this point, there's so much evidence. I think that's real. It seems bizarre,
right?
That it's 3 that they're remaking first, but like that's fine.
So.
I don't know. I don't think we live in a world where they would ever bother to remake 4.
Or, no, I would like that, but
yeah,
no.
I don't think so. It's too big of. It's too much of a game, and especially since it was built for the PS3.
Around that cell processor.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare. You'd have to rebuild that game. Like,
I would think they would have just remade the first one though. Like that's
but they already did that.
They did that, but people don't like that for some reason.
I know, but people they already did that.
I still don't understand.
And people in general don't like 2.
Yeah.
So 3 seems like if you were gonna make
it's a safe bet.
It would be that one. At least to gauge if people give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is the argument you can make of, well, this is technically where that story kind of starts anyways. So, because it is
that's true. If you want to do chronological type stuff, then you
so like I could get behind that. But then, so those are the 2 big ones. And like, I hope this Castlevania thing's real. But what is that?
I don't know.
Is that
could be anything?
Night 2D style?
That could be anything.
Do they do what I want them to do, which is go hard and make a big 3D open world Castlevania? Like, that's what I would like.
I would assume there's Silent Hill stuff. I would assume.
Absolutely.
Like, this is where they have to talk about Spider-Man, right?
Oh, I think you get your Spider-Man date here. I think you get a bigger trailer, and I think then they say we'll have more to talk about Spider-Man later this summer.
I don't even want more. I just need the date and the trailer.
But here's the thing: like, if they're going to have multiple directs focused on Final Fantasy 16, they're going to have a direct focus just on Spider-Man.
I guess so.
That's big enough.
My thing about Spider-Man would be all they would have to be was like, "Hey, did you guys play that first one? Yeah. Did you like that one? Yeah. Spider-Man 2 comes out this day." That's all you need to know about it. Like,
I agree, and I don't need anything to sell me on that game.
That's a game where literally all you have to do is run it back. Like, it does not have to be anything more than it is. Like, and we know that it's going to be him and Miles together now. That's all I need. I don't need anything else.
We know Venom's the villain, obviously,
right? Or like the main one, or maybe he's not because remember. Spider-Man 1,
doing Green Goblin stuff too, right?
Well, yeah, they tease it. Yeah. But Spider-Man 1, remember, like the whole thing was Mr. Negative. It's Mr. Negatives, Mr. Negatives. Yeah, for about half of it. But it wasn't.
Half, yeah. Maybe Venom's only half of it. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Could be cool. I just hope they don't try to cram like Carnage into it too. Like,
I just hope they don't try to cram too much. But I don't know. They didn't do that with the first one. I would have faith.
Yeah, no, and the funny part was the first one had a lot of villains, but it didn't feel like it was too much.
Didn't overdo it.
The best parts of that game were like when you're fighting Scorpion and Rhino at the same time, and when you're fighting Vulture and Electro at the same time. Those fights were awesome. Right.
Yeah.
So,
I just like what else?
I gotta see if I can find that stupid.
Do you think the
screenshot?
Do you think the Horizon Zero Dawn PS5 version? Do you think that's a real thing that they're gonna bring up?
Yeah, yeah, probably.
I think it could be
because Forbidden West is done now. So
Forbidden West is done, and that studio actually, I can't remember if I put it in the news here or not, but they have come out and said like they didn't have any plans for what to do if Lance Reddick died. So I would imagine that's going to delay.
I'd imagine 3 takes a while. I'd imagine 3 takes a while. They've got the multiplayer thing coming, but you can't tell me that they couldn't also just be working on up-resing the first one.
They could whip that up.
And really honestly, if they give me that for $10 because I already have the first one, I would probably pay you $10 to play the first one again.
Yeah.
I like that game enough. But if we do $70, be like Last of Us Part 1, no, thank you. I'm not.
Yeah.
Not interested.
I just I'm trying to think of what else you would. There's one other thing.
I gotta find this leak.
I'll throw it out here because it's the next news article, anyways. But Capcom has obviously had a really good relationship with Sony. Now, again, Capcom's relationship hasn't been exclusivity, really. It's been more of just this is where we show our games. There's a heavy Dead Rising reboot rumor. They could show that here.
Possible. I would want that. Here, okay,
hey,
so
we're rebooting Dead Rising.
I found the leaked screenshot. Okay. So I'll read it down in order.
Okay.
All right. So
we could say plausible or not plausible.
Yeah, so Last of Us factions.
Plausible.
And remember, this isn't it's coming this is just that we'll talk about this.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal, a free-to-play version.
I could see that because of the TV show.
Because the TV show would make me say, yeah, that should probably exist. That Pragmata game, which I don't know, is that even a game still? I don't know.
I don't know.
They haven't talked about it since the PlayStation 5 reveal thing.
I was very into what they showed, but I don't know.
But you don't even know what the hell that is.
I don't. That's why I want to know more about it.
RE4 VR.
Sure.
They gotta put something on VR, right?
Yeah.
Snake Eater Subsequent, which has got to be that. Silent Hill 2, Mortal Kombat will be there just because
it has to be.
I think that's probably gameplay, right?
I think so because the Mortal Kombat, and obviously we're jumping ahead a little bit, but Mortal Kombat,
we'll come back to that. Here. But yeah, so I would assume this is gameplay.
Gameplay.
7 Rebirth, fine. I laugh that it is listed as a PS5 launch exclusive. Fuck off. That's just a PlayStation 5 game. We know that that's not coming.
Yeah.
Some game named Disney Domination. I don't know what that would be. Astro's Conquest, which is an Astro VR game. That makes sense. Remember, there's got to be VR stuff. So. Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, I could actually see that for
plausible.
VR.
Sure. Something listed as DS2 because apparently that might not be the name of Death Stranding.
Apparently, 2. Death Stranding 2, yeah. And so that's another thing I'll throw out. There's heavy speculation. Death Stranding 2 is this fall.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big things is there's been now shots of that one dude from Microsoft, Aaron Greenberg, hanging out with Kojima with him.
Well, yeah, because remember they have an Xbox game coming.
He's probably gonna show, or at least I could totally see it that Xbox show in June. Here's a title of what he's working on. Nothing but a title card.
Yeah. More about there yet.
Yeah. But if that's happening there, that would very much lead me to believe Death Stranding 2 is probably pretty close to being done.
Right.
And that's fine. Yeah. You don't need a huge lead up to that game.
No, and that engine.
One more wacky trailer and I'm good.
Think about it. The engine's already done. What else are they doing? Story and other stuff?
He had to rewrite that story because of the pandemic. But again, Kojima's crazy, so he got that written pretty fast.
What else is on here? Stellar Blade, which you remember that game.
Yeah, that game was cool. I'm very
the game that they would never make a sequel to, Hades 2. Darkest Dungeon 2.
Yeah.
Kyle's Game of the Year, Goodbye Volcano High.
Oh, that got delayed.
The Dishwasher Collection. Ghost of a Tale 2. I don't know what that is.
That's the little mouse game.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
What that is.
Lost Soul Aside. I don't know what that is. Here's where I start to lose some faith in this list. Killzone.
No.
Made by someone else. So it's possible. If it's by anyone, it's by someone else.
Right.
Ghost of Kamakura, which is a Sucker Punch game, which is supposed to be the Tsushima sequel, which Grubb already said isn't going to be there. So maybe this thing is old. Who knows? Helldivers 2, fine. That's a Sony game.
I could see that.
Here's where I lose a little bit about this being real.
Okay.
Marvel Spider-Man 2 is on this list. That's fine. But as a Spider-Man nerd, Spider-Man is spelled wrong. Where the M is not capitalized. So it's Spider-Man, which is how it should be spelled, but it should be Spider-MAN. But the M's not capitalized. And that's a trademark name, so I don't know. Could be a typo. Fine. And then the last thing is something called Dark Side from Santa Monica, which is supposed to be a CGI only trailer because, it's something I've never heard of before. Other notes were, Metal Gear Solid game would have a new ending. Pragmata would have gameplay. factions should be released this year, which it fucking better be, because they've been talking about Last of Us factions for half a decade. Rebirth will be postponed until mid-2024. I wouldn't even call that as postponement. That just seems like when that game will be out.
That seems like the realistic date for that. Yeah.
And then Half-Life Alyx is a big deal between PlayStation and Valve, which I don't know if Valve even really gives a shit about who they partner with.
That doesn't really seem like a huge thing to me. The other thing I'll say is like the reason I would question this list is like there's no rumor for about Bloodborne 2 or a Bloodborne remake.
Yeah, there's little typos all over it. Like, it also does not call Mortal Kombat 1, which it would have.
Yeah, but that might have not been known at the time.
I guarantee if Sony comes out and says you're going to be at our show, Mortal Kombat knew. They were going to tell him it's called Mortal Kombat 1. It'll go on this internal document. So there's little typos.
100% sense to be there. And like I said, that would be gameplay.
Yeah.
That would be gameplay.
Dear God.
Here's the first gameplay.
Well, that trailer.
I'm honestly surprised. I'm honestly surprised at the end of that trailer they weren't like, hey, next week you'll see the first gameplay.
More coming.
Sony.
Yeah. They could have done that.
So they could have easily done
So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited, because you know why? I'm always excited for these fucking things because all I ever want to see is new shit about games.
I mean, this is your E3 show.
E3 is starting.
For Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just going a month early, but that's fine.
It's fine. Show me all of it.
And then you'll get your Xbox One, and then what? Oh, okay. So so we have dates for now. This and Xbox. When do you think Nintendo goes? Like, do they even need to? Could they hold off till July?
Nintendo can tell you 2 days before. Like, it
I
doesn't
know, but
matter.
like, do they really even need to?
When's the Xbox
Zelda
one?
out there? June 11th.
June 15th. It's going to be right there. It'll be around them because Nintendo knows that they don't compete with anyone. They really don't. So they can go whenever they want. So they can go within a couple days of Microsoft and everybody be like, yeah, cool. I'm going to get this Nintendo game and this Xbox game. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
I'll throw it in just because it is in here. So obviously heavy rumors Dead Rising is getting a reboot. I mean, if that's true, do you want a full reboot? Do you want to see a new version of Frank West or just a straight up, like, this is new Dead Rising? New character.
I think the series is at its best when Frank is involved.
I do too.
Very much so.
My thought would be call it Dead Rising, set it back at that first mall, but make the mall bigger.
Yes.
And persistent and like no loading, all that kind of stuff, and have it be co-op, and then I'm fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And have it be co-op where we don't have to be anywhere near each other like 3.
Hey, and also let us both be Frank West.
No, I mean I don't.
How about Frank and Chuck? Yeah,
I would also accept. Create a character kind of.
That's
thing.
fine. Yeah,
because Dead Rising has a story, but it's weak. It's just
it is.
So let me make my own person. And don't saddle me with the responsibility of 2 where I have to get Zombrex for Katie every day. Like, don't do that shit.
Yeah, don't do that. Like that added too much on top.
The cases stuff is fine because that's there to propel you through the game. And if you fail, you get locked out because it's a new game plus game anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I would say
Zombrex added too much.
It just added a time, like an enforced time limit, even if you just wanted to play the game.
Yeah.
Or create a character or Frank or rewrite it where it's like Frank and somebody else.
Yeah.
Maybe you know what they should do? Maybe for the first one, they should have it be Frank and who was the chick who sat in the booth? What was her name? Jessie or something?
From the first game?
Yeah, you remember the blonde who's in the...
Oh, yeah. I can't remember her name, but I know what you mean.
But there are other characters in there.
There are other characters. Like, my thing about it, like, if you're going to reboot it, make it a mall. Don't make it a city.
No,
like,
I don't need that.
If you want to be able to get out and around the town, that's fine. But, like, you need to have a mall at the centerpiece of it, and that needs to be the biggest part of it, because that's what made that series unique.
Right.
Yeah.
And, like, they did create a pretty cool mall in Dead Rising 4, but... how much better would that have been if that's all they focused on?
But even two worked with like the casino setting, like that worked too because it was a contained thing. And then obviously like Off the Record is the one we played a lot of too, where like they add like the amusement park aspect to it too.
But that was part of the mall.
Sure,
and you could totally do that here too.
Yeah, so I feel like if you do the mall and just like blow it out, like make it even bigger, make it more stories.
do Willamette again. Let's do it a third time. Like,
I don't care.
But yeah, I'm ready for it. Like, I would love to see that franchise
after
return.
4.
It's been way long.
After 4, now. I think it's time to just start it again.
It is for sure.
Yeah.
I just put this in here because I do think it's kind of shitty. Like, one of the developers of Redfall was just going off about how people were making fun of them on Twitter for the game and stuff. Like, don't be a dick. Like, we all know that the game, you know, has many issues, and it's going to come out. Like, at some point, it's going to come out, like, what the real story is behind the game. But, like, that one person you're making fun of on Twitter for working at that, like, that's not the
real shitty part was, like, they're going to hear it from Xbox fans or just like gamers in general. This guy was hearing it from like colleagues. That's fucked up.
It's shitty.
Oh,
because shitty. It is.
Come on. You can't tell me every one of these people that are coming at him has always made a perfect game every time the first time. Come on, man.
Exactly.
That's fucked up.
It's fucked up. So
like we can admit Redfall's not good. It's probably never going to be good.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go there and
we also don't know the whole story there. Yeah. We don't know if they just, you know, went and said, like, we need more time, and Microsoft said, no, it has.
We're out of time.
We don't know. Right. We don't know.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that could happen.
It'll come out eventually, but we don't know at this time. So just don't be a dick. The next one I put in here, after like 7-8 months, Plague Tale Requiem got a 60 frames update patch for both PS5 and Series X, notably not Series S. So, which just obviously can't handle it there. From my understanding, it drops the resolution to 1440p to achieve 60 frames. That's fine.
That's fine. Anything over 1080 is fine. Yeah.
It's fine. So, I mean, I don't know if I'll play. I didn't like the first one, so I don't know if I'll play. Like, that was my thing when it came out, and everybody was upset about it, and I was like, I didn't really care for the first one, so I don't know if I'll be even going to play this one.
Yeah.
This one I just had to laugh at. Dragon Age 4, also known as Dragon Age Dreadwolf, is seemingly not launching until, at the earliest, April of 2024.
What if I told you that game's never launching?
Well, it could.
That's just as plausible at this point.
It does confirm the heavy rumors that the game was rebooted yet again because it's been delayed so many times. So
wouldn't it make more sense at this point that they should have just like remade the first one? Or the second one.
Or scrap it and just put all hands on deck on whatever we're doing with Mass Effect. Because remember, Mass Effect can't come out until this fucking thing. They can't even be all hands on deck until this game comes out. So, I don't know. Is there a world where this Dragon Age comes out and it satisfies those fans?
Not anymore.
Like, I don't think it does. So
I don't know. You and I tried to play Inquisition, and it's like the co-op stuff. It wasn't good.
The co-op stuff was a cool idea. It didn't work very well. I thought the actual game, like the campaign and stuff, was fine. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, but the thing too is like I really liked. This is like my opinions on Mass Effect. I really liked the first Dragon Age game. It did not care for the other ones.
Like that's the thing too. Like the first one is clearly the best
RPG,
one. The second one was the second one was this like linear, like we threw it together way too fast to get it.
But
out
people
there
seem to really like 2. But
I
liked the RPG aspect of 1 a lot more.
And then Inquisition was fine. All I remember about that game was a guy threw a goat at my castle. That's like the one part of that game I remember vividly. So, we can snicker at this real quick. Hogwarts Legacy has gotten its delay on the Switch. Which
cancel it.
If we're going with our predicted timeline, this is the final delay until we get to August, and they go,
I think it'll be longer. I think it'd be like October, and they're like, oh, by the way,
we can't make
that game anymore.
Telling y'all, I'm getting it.
This is where I'm going to turn it over to you, Dan, because this was something that triggered you in the past week, specifically Kotaku.
They triggered me a lot.
They trigger us all a lot, to be fair. But they were not able to get a copy of Zelda pre-release.
Right. Nintendo has blacklisted them.
They are blacklisted by Nintendo. They're blacklisted by a lot of companies.
By a lot of people, to be fair, yeah.
I think, aren't they by Sony or somebody?
Somebody else. I think Sega.
There's like three or four major companies they're blacklisted by, but Nintendo is one of them. So they decide instead to post what we refer to as non-articles all day. And I'll let you go off, Dan.
They literally posted like 5 or 6 articles that day, not about the actual game because they could not play it ahead of time. So they had to wait to get their copy like everybody else. But it was literally just articles about articles on other sites all fucking day. There was like 6 of them. And it's like, wow, this article is really talking about how this is a part of that game. And this article is really talking about like what gamers are doing in this part of the game. What are you doing? Like none of this is articles.
Those scores for Zelda seem pretty good.
Yeah, they seem pretty
we'll have a
good.
review later. Like
or what was the other one that really ticked me off? It was like, wow, people sure are doing a lot of this in the game, or they're doing. It's like, yeah, they have to write 9-10 articles about this shit from other things because they need to get the clicks day one, but they can't get them because they're pieces of shit beforehand. Because the whole point they got blacklisted was, what was it? Were they talking about tiers, or was it something else?
Okay, no, I looked it up because I was curious.
They were talking about emulation and piracy and basically saying pirate Nintendo games because they basically better.
Said piracy was okay, but they weren't talking about like retro games. They posted this article and it was specifically about Metroid Dread.
That's it.
And how somebody got the game to run better on it wasn't a Steam Deck, but it was like one of those other like portable handheld PC modded things. And they were basically pro like, oh, if you could do it, you might as well do that because it's better. And then they had to heavily edit that article, but it was too late.
Yeah,
like, it's already out.
They basically were just telling people like, why don't you go out and do this? Go ahead and steal from Nintendo. And then everything will be fine. And then but they're always the ones too that post articles like, wow, Nintendo really seems to be cracking down on this guy or that guy. It's like, yeah. And then you did it. Like they just that site is run by a ton of people who think their writing and all this stuff has no consequences because freedom of the press or whatever. It's all opinion pieces, but they act like they're above literally everyone because
they do.
Our opinions are the correct ones. And haha, look at this idiot. Or is it really right that Nintendo is taking down all of this copyrighted stuff other people are using? Yeah, dude, that's what copyright law is. Like, it sucks. Like, I'm pro emulation. I'm not pro piracy.
But when it comes to the games,
I'm very pro emulation for just like historical purposes and keeping this shit alive.
Yeah, but it's different when you're talking about a game that released the day before.
Literally just come out and you're telling people, yeah, why don't you just
if you pirate it runs better.
Why don't you just steal it? And Nintendo's supposed to be okay with that.
Yeah,
like all these companies, like they're at the point too where like their reviews aren't even reviews. The reviews are literally like written out fact sheets about like, I loved doing this, or they'll talk about something in the game tiny for like half a page. Like, what are you doing? Like that site is just all over.
My favorite review of all time was I want to say it was either the PS5 or the Series X, is one or the other, where they spent half the review talking about the 2020 election.
Yeah,
what the fuck does that have to do with me buying a PS5?
They lose their minds about
nothing,
everything. Nothing. They talk about. They're hypocritical. They'll write one article one day and then a week later write the opposite of it, and then get confused when people call them out about it.
Yeah,
or they'll bitch about like sexist tropes in games, which exist and some of them are not okay. But then the next week they'll talk about like, man, Ryu from Street Fighter sure is really hot with his shirt off.
I was like, look at bearded Ryu.
Bearded Ryu really turns me on. It's like you cannot do both articles.
You can't do both the same. Yeah.
No. And then they get confused when people are like, you can't do both of these articles. Well, why not? That site is all about it's clicks. It's all clicks.
For sure.
It should have gone down with Gawker.
I wish Hulk Hogan could have sued them into oblivion. But somehow
it got picked up by somebody else.
Yeah, that site is trash. And a lot of people will always be like, well, if it's such trash, why do you follow them? It's like, I enjoy the hypocrisy because I'd like to see how deep it goes. Like, they're going to...
I don't agree with it a lot of times. They're probably one of the only places, like, if there's a big GameStop thing, like, I think there was one... Did we put it in here or no about the people that walked out on Zelda Day?
They have it in there, too, but it's because...
will put it... They'll talk about it. You're not going to see that on IGN.
Well, the problem the reason they talk about it is because it does show up on IGN. It showed up on IGN after the fact because IGN they do the same thing where they'll post. Well, they saw an article someplace else, they'll write it too, just because they want the clicks too. Sure. But they Kotaku gets those things because like readers and stuff will email them. This happened, or like the GameStop employee thinks they'll get famous by emailing them. But they're like, and no matter what the article about GameStop is, it's always like the famous meme company GameStop whose stock is this, is blah, blah. Like, that's how they open every article I ever write about GameStop. Mm-hmm. But, I do follow them because I do get those good little stories too. Because I laughed at that one where if nobody heard about it, they basically a store quit the day Zelda released, and the important thing to remember is that store was only closed for 3 hours because the DM got it open again pretty quick.
Again, if they wanted to make an impact, they should have
quit the midnight. Like,
there's no way the midnight would happen.
If you were gonna do this the day of, you were gonna do it the day before. So you should have, if you really wanted to make an impact and really just fuck this company over, and not necessarily fuck customers over, but do it at this, because you did anyway, so you might as well have done it. Do the pre-rings and then close and leave.
Oh,
want to talk about a shit show? That's how you make a shit show. Yeah, pre-ring, come back at 11, it'll be great. Pull on the door. Oh no!
And everybody leaves.
Yeah,
somebody walks up. I'm here to get my game. You can come back tomorrow.
Well, because the kicker was they posted those dudes' email addresses on there. I would have gone harder. You have their phone numbers.
You do. Why not put their phone numbers on there?
Like, what are they gonna do?
What are they gonna do? You're already out. Like, you quit. You put your keys.
You have their phone numbers. I would have nuked them. I would have said fuck it and written their phone numbers on there.
Like, email address is weak.
Weak because they could just auto script that to block. They could have just been blocked.
We got a couple wrestling game articles here. We have the WrestleQuest game, which continues to look cool. Got delayed till sometime summer 2023. Makes sense.
It's okay.
That's fine. It'll be fine when it comes out. I'm still crossing my fingers and hoping like maybe it comes to one of these services, like be it Game Pass, be it
Plus
PlayStation service.
It would be cool if it did.
I think it would be cool.
The three of us kind of talked about it. Where I know when that game comes out, it'll be like, it's a great game, but it really doesn't capitalize on what it set out to be. And it'll be like a 7 out of 10. That's fine. I don't care.
And then the long-awaited AEW Fight Forever has a release date now of June 27th. And the preload is live, and the achievements and trophies are up. So
that's just like, I'm just curious. I'm just super curious.
This is the thing that I told Emily the other day. I was like, this right here is a prime example of why I wish video rental stores still fucking existed, because this is a game I would go rent immediately and play the hell out of a rental.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to pay $60-$70 for this game, but I would gladly pay $5 to $6 to rent.
Isn't it on Game Pass? It's supposed to be.
No,
it's not.
Remember that was a rumor, and then they said no.
Well, then I'll wait.
Gosh, that was like a year ago.
I'll wait till it happens then.
You know what? It'll be on sale.
I'm curious. I'll watch people play it because there's
absolutely
there's a group of guys I watch on YouTube that play a lot of wrestling shit, and I'm sure they will have that the day before or the day of, and we'll put up 4 hours of it. So I'll watch that. For sure.
But I'm very curious. I want to see what it is.
Yeah.
So, Overwatch. Would it be? Would be Blizzard canceled Overwatch 2's PvE hero mode?
Oh my god!
Calling it a difficult choice. Which I told my buddy when he sent me this article earlier this week. I said the difficult choice was they looked at, ran the numbers, and said, "How can we profit off this? We don't really profit off it. Axe it." And
we can't make an international tournament out of it. So what's the point?
It's been a shit show. Like, they've been hammered even hard this week because now the question is, why did you make Overwatch 2?
The whole point of Overwatch 2, of calling it Overwatch 2, was we're going to split it. And we're going to make the PvP thing. We're going to focus on that. And then we're going to make what the game was originally supposed to be. Because remember that's what it was supposed to be. And now it doesn't even exist.
Well, they also, I don't know if you know this, they converted the client. You cannot play regular Overwatch anymore.
No,
if you try to play it's just Overwatch 2. And then the achievements and trophies just morphed into Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
So it's a mess.
The whole point of making Overwatch 2 was to make that. And that was the only part where I was like, maybe I would play it again.
It would be interesting, like, if you were going to do something with those characters. Because, again, like, each character had different abilities, and that was a cool part of that game. Doing like a horde mode type thing, that would have been fun.
Yes.
It's done now.
Nope.
So, I'll make, you know what? I put this in here. I'll make a prediction. There's an ESRB rating that got revealed for Stray coming to Xbox. I'll tell you right now, I guarantee you it's real. And I bet you anything, it's at the Xbox showcase and they go, hey, guess what? We got Stray. It's on Game Pass today.
It's either
because it's been a year. So
it's either that, or it never comes out for Xbox.
That
because
the other thing.
Stuff does get rated that never exists. Like that does happen. True. But it would make it's been a year at that point. So
it's been a year.
Why not?
Yeah, and like why not?
And if you have an Xbox and have not played it,
you have not played
it immediately. It's a very good game.
Love it. Let's see. Tales of Symphonia Remastered finally got a patch, but the fans are still not happy. If you want to play that game, go play
get the GameCube version of it.
Yeah,
because it runs at 60 frames.
Yeah,
I
don't understand.
I'm still
how.
angry at myself that I forgot I pre-ordered the fucking
I just wouldn't open it.
It's not. It's just sitting on the fucking shelf. It's got a steelbook, which is cool, but like, god damn it!
no, it's ridiculous.
The game, for those who don't know, the Cube version runs at 60. You know, a game from 2004,
three or four,
yeah.
And the newly released PS4 and like Xbox like Ultimate Edition runs at 30. Jeez, and it apparently affects that game pretty bad, which is a bummer because that's a great fucking game. But
Big Zelda Tears of the Kingdom sell 10 million copies in its first 3 days. Is anybody surprised?
It's got to be double that by now, right?
This is arguably, I think, the most anticipated game, one of the most anticipated games of all time.
How many Switches
like at this point
have been sold? How many? Do we know?
It's like in 70 or 80 million, I thought.
Okay, so at least half of those are going to end up owning a copy of this, right?
Well, sure. And here's the thing. Like, you think back on how many fucking directs was it where they'd have to come out and say, we're not talking about Zelda here. We're not going to do it this way, because that's all people wanted was the sequel to this game.
Do you know what the real, like, shittiest part of that is?
That they changed.
No. That's fine.
$10?
At some point, that was going to happen, and if there's a game that can handle it, fine. Breath of the Wild is still $60.
I don't understand why that game they make it 40.
Well, you know why. You know why? Because it's Nintendo, and Mario Kart 8, the greatest selling Switch game of all time, is $60. But they hate market stuff down. They absolutely
do
hate it. And every so often stuff will go on sale for 40. But wouldn't it make more sense, like, if this is 70, be like, hey, you know, Tears of the Kingdom's coming out, it's going to be $70, and then we're going to permanent price drop Breath of the Wild to 40 that day.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could have done that.
Right.
But
they
don't.
That'd be too easy.
Because
it's just a real. It's just like
they don't have to.
They don't. Yeah, they don't have to.
That's why they don't. I'll let you speak more to this one, because this is more of a, like, I forgot this was a thing.
I kind of did too, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I think we all did, but the Analog Duo pre-orders went live 2 days after the day it was announced that they were going to put up these pre-orders.
So what happened was, I got an email saying, hey, the Analog Duo, remember that? I was like, oh shit, I do remember that. Which is basically Analog, the people who make like the Super NT, the Pocket, basically all the cool like updated versions of retro systems, which, as an important note, are essentially actual versions of those systems. Like, they're not like the shitty Retron thing or whatever. They're not emulating stuff. It's a literal like Super Nintendo kind of a thing. So they said they were going to make a Duo, which is a TurboGrafx 16 and TurboGrafx CD, like in one package. Like, that's awesome as hell, because TurboGrafx in general are, I'm not going to say hard to get, but you don't come across them all the time.
No.
Prices for them
very uncommon.
Prices for them are all over the place. I mean, it really depends on where you find it, but they can be anywhere from $100 to $200 for a Turbo 16 with like one controller. So this, and that's just for the thing that doesn't even play CDs. It's like, this is a really cool idea, and it comes out at $250. That's a good price for what it is.
For what it is.
And then they're announcing like, oh, by the way, pre-orders for that start in 2 days. Like, well, you probably could have given me a week.
You could have done a month.
Like a week.
I think you could have done a month.
You know, because the thing about Analog is they never make enough of anything, and that's on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is okay. I get it. Especially for hardware, I kind of get it. But the thing about it that intrigued me was it could play imports natively. Like, you didn't have to, because the important thing about TurboGrafx cards, like from America and from imports, they don't just work individually. Like, they literally can't. You had to get like a weird ass adapter thing, which is expensive and all this shit. And so I was like, well, if I could play imports and stuff, that's better. Because collecting for TurboGrafx is difficult. Things are expensive. It just is.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, every time I come across them every so often, I'll pick them up if they're even remotely decently priced. Like, I think I found 2 or 3 of them at a half price books once, and that blew my mind that they even write a half price books and they were appropriately priced. But I decided not to get one because it's not an open FPGA thing, so it can't have like cores and stuff loaded on it. Because the real catch was people were hoping maybe this could be how we get like PlayStation cores and Dreamcast cores in a box. Like if that could have been a PlayStation and a Dreamcast and a turbo, then hell yeah, it's worth $250. But it can literally only be a turbo. Mm-hmm. So again, if you have CD ones, this is the thing where I would say, like, if you had a big collection of this stuff, it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't have any CD games. I think you have one, right?
I have one. I have
that
two.
We can't
one
open.
That's sealed that I will never open, and then the other one is like an R-type game, I think.
Right, but it just is not the thing for me, especially when they're gonna make
games are even harder to find.
Yeah, those are even more impossible.
That's what's weird.
But especially not even for me because they're gonna make the adapter for the Pocket that'll play turbo games. So if I get that and I've got my Pocket and my dock, then I can just play turbo on my TV anyway. And am I really going to collect for the CD? Probably not.
Probably not.
And so it's a cool box, but I don't need it. There's nothing. The Pocket essentially, the Pocket does everything now.
Yeah.
Like the Pocket is nuts. The Pocket does turbo, but it's going to, I mean, if they're going to have an adapter for it now too, anyway, like the cores and stuff on it, like Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, like it's just like it never ends with that thing. So bummer, but
I get it.
Yeah.
Obviously we've talked about it a little bit already, but Mortal Kombat 12 has finally been announced. It is called Mortal Kombat 1, which makes sense because they reset the timeline at the end of Mortal Kombat 11 anyways.
I love the title. Like, people are out there saying they hate it. I think it's good.
It's fine.
Because you can't call it Mortal Kombat because 9 is just called Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And it makes sense based in the timeline after what happened. Like, we're starting over.
So, the trailer is a CG trailer. I mean, obviously the CG looks incredible,
unreal,
but
like it's so good.
I want to see the gameplay, which again, I would have to assume that's at the Sony conference.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that too is like you and I talked about it's a CG trailer, but their games look pretty comparable.
Their games always
CG.
look pretty fucking
11 is amazing.
Pretty good looking game.
The only thing I'm really bummed about is we're losing new characters.
Yeah. You're not going to have like Cassie Cage and stuff like that, but I'm still crossing my fingers hoping for Stryker.
Well, you got to say something for Mortal Kombat 2, my man.
I know, but we haven't seen him since fucking 9.
I know.
So, like, that was my main for 9. So, it has a release date, September 19th. Makes sense.
Yep.
So, man, perfect when does time. Spider-Man hit? You got Starfield on September 6th. You got this on the 19th. When does Spider-Man
I would still, if I'm Sony, like, Spider-Man's our game for the year, it's November.
You think so?
Yeah, like, if it's the main title, it's November.
You could.
The biggest thing about this Mortal Kombat thing, though, is this officially marks the second $70 Switch game, which for Mortal Kombat, that's a tough sell considering the last one on there was bad. And it's also not made by NetherRealm for Switch, which makes me feel even worse about it. But,
I would predict that version gets delayed and does not make it out September 19th.
No. It's going to be Hogwarts again.
But also, like, and that's what makes that announcement kind of bizarre is like, this game is only on PS5 and the Xbox Series S.
It does not need to be on Switch.
It doesn't need to be on Switch. So, heavy rumor Microsoft's not going to stick to the 12-month window for their Xbox showcase. That makes sense. As we've discussed, like, this game or this show is going to, they need to show it all.
We talked about it last time. They just have to, they have to throw everything at the wall.
Even more interesting, and we have not talked because this actually happened since the last time we recorded. The EU has approved the Activision Blizzard deal.
Yeah, oh man!
But the best part, and we kind of talked about this, is they did a interview with the head Microsoft guy. What is his name? Like Satya. I'm not going to butcher his name, but you know who I mean. Not Phil Spencer, the head,
the guy who's actually.
And the question the question was asked to him straight up. Is there a situation in which you might get this deal approved in America and the EU and not the UK and just not sell this stuff in the UK? And his response back was, let's see how it all plays out. And he smiled. That tells me that's exactly what they're going to do.
I would tell you, it's on the table.
It is, absolutely.
So, I'm not going to pretend to understand how all of this works.
No, I don't.
But my thought is let's say it's approved everywhere except the UK. So basically it would mean that they could not sell really just Microsoft products in the UK at that point.
Yeah.
So my thought would be they would have to weigh out the costs of, will we make more money not selling stuff in the UK and just having Activision Blizzard everywhere else? Or is it not worth it to do that? And I bet you it's worth it to just cut out the UK entirely. Because we all know Microsoft is distant third pretty much everywhere.
But the Candy Crush money will make up for it.
but they're distant third pretty much everywhere as it is. You can't tell me that their market share in the UK is super good.
No, it's not. It's all PlayStation.
It's all PlayStation and Switch and PC, I'm sure. Which, guess what? They make money off of. But I would love for this to end where everyone approves it except them, and they basically just say, okay, fine, and they just don't sell products in the UK anymore.
Yeah. I'm at that
funny way for it. It'd be a funny way.
I just want to see what like, does the CMA then back down and go, or do they actually just let that happen? I would imagine
if it got to that point where they got to that, they would basically, well, wait a minute, hang on.
Yeah, we could.
Can you tell us more about cloud gaming? Like that's how. Because you and I laughed because the EU thing was basically they've also brought up the cloud gaming thing, but then they also said, but nobody knows what that is. So how could we possibly police it?
How can we police a market that does not yet exist?
And we could not tell you what it's going to be in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So and then the UK, obviously the CMA held their ground and was like, well, it doesn't make sense to have to keep renegotiating this shit every 10 years. Well, no, it doesn't. But that's how the world works. Everything has to be renegotiated all the time.
Yeah.
We're talking like rights to show sporting events in America are renegotiated all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like we're at a point now where like sporting rights in America, there's games that are literally like there's a football game that's going to be on like a platform that almost nobody has access to. Like, so like, how is that fair? Like none of it's fair. Yeah. It's never fair. So it's dumb as fuck. But I would imagine if it got to a point where they were the only ones and the thing was going to pass and Microsoft was going to finish it up, they'd be like, well, hang on a second.
Yeah. I didn't put it in here, but China also approved the deal.
Yeah.
So
because guess what?
It's a pretty big market.
Doesn't give a shit.
No, they don't care. I could have thrown this in earlier, but I threw it in here just because it just reiterates there will not be a PS4 version of Spider-Man 2.
Thank God.
They Sucker Punch said Spider-Man 2 is being made with no compromises on PS5.
Hell yeah.
It seems like they are very happy to develop this game for one platform.
God, I'm so ready. I'm so ready for that game.
So it'll be. I think I think that's going to be a real showpiece when they do show it this next week.
I think you get a trailer that flows into gameplay.
Sets up the story.
That flows into gameplay.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
They've done that before. They did it with the last one.
Mm-hmm.
But where it's just like you're watching a CG thing, then all of a sudden he's swinging around. And then they'll show how they switch out and all that kind of stuff. And
him and Miles, yeah.
Or if it's 2-player, fingers crossed, they'll show how that works.
That's such a. I mean, that's a really cool. I think it's too ambitious.
Hard to do.
Yeah. But I think could it happen? Yes, but I do think it's just a little too ambitious.
If it doesn't happen now, I would say it needs to be in the cards for the next one.
I think so. I just threw this in there because I thought it was funny how fast it's happening. But Halo Infinite's getting season 4 that adds infection, but they're also adding like a career progression. But they said we're adding career progression, but they didn't explain how it works. So I don't know what that means.
It means,
but hey, whatever.
We'll come back to it in 6 months. And
we're throwing that infection mode is one that Halo fans always want in every one of these games. So it's cool that they're doing it.
Why don't we just find a way to roll this into the Master Chief Collection and just put it all, make it all
I'm
one
amazed
game? Fuck it.
Well, a lot of people are saying that at the Xbox showcase is when they're going to finally show whatever that battle royale is for Halo.
Do people want it?
So,
do you want it?
I think it's too late now. I think if you would have shown it a year ago, I think people would have been excited.
Why didn't they just go the Fortnite route and release that first, and then just never release the rest of the game?
Yeah, exactly. I put this in here just because I thought it was cool, but it's still a bummer. There's no new trophies or achievements, but Power Wash is getting a SpongeBob DLC where you clean up his pineapple house.
This is the first one you have to pay for, right?
I think maybe you do.
I think this one you have to pay for.
Let's look at it here because I didn't click into it. If you do, then maybe they'll add achievements. But
yeah, it's $8 and there will be achievements.
Oh, okay, all right, that's cool.
So it makes sense that they're adding achievements because you have to pay for it.
You're paying for
it,
right? Okay. Well, maybe I'll buy that one. I don't know. It looks cool, like visually.
Sure. I mean, there's also it's not just his house. There's 6 maps.
Oh, there's 6 maps. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. $8 isn't that bad
for that game. That's fair.
No. Last news article. This was put up today. The voice actor that plays Alan Wake has supposedly leaked that game is coming out in October. That would make a lot of sense.
Weird. Halloween's
that Remedy has already said that game is on track to release this year. So that would make a lot of sense.
Do you think he gets spirited away with Tony Todd and they both have to go live on an island for a while?
Maybe.
So these people start getting the message to stop.
I still say you're going to see Alan Wake 2 at the Microsoft event.
Yeah,
they're real good friends of Remedy, and I think that's where you'll get your new trailer and a date.
Release this game.
October makes perfect sense.
Release this game and then immediately tell me about Control 2.
Yeah, exactly. Like, show me, do you think in Alan Wake 2, there's a part of it where you see the chick from Control?
What if he goes to the motel?
They had that DLC. Yeah, and they meet up there or something, or like you see like her shadow going into another like room or something of that hotel.
Yeah,
I would love that.
I love it.
They could do it. I want Alan Wake too. So
I mean, they're both good. I mean,
I'm super excited.
I want both of them, but like Control, I just love Control.
Control is the bigger one for me. I need the sequel to that. Yeah. So, but that wraps up news. We can jump into emails, which we have a lot of them. This first one,
this is an important one.
Is a big one. Is an important one, and I will read it, and then I will let you go off on the details.
We'll talk about
the changes. Yeah, we'll talk about it. This comes from Kent from Redacted, so you know it's a good GameStop email. He says, "Hi guys, GameStop SL here, soon on his way out. I wanted to write about 2 separate things. I've been a listener for a while, but I haven't had the courage to write in until now that I've submitted my 2 weeks. Between the absolute chef-fest that was the Zelda launch and the pre-order bonus, and then the upcoming changes to the Power-Up Rewards program, I just can't do it anymore. I can't put on the fake smile and the Custo guest friendly voice anymore, especially to try and pitch a worse version of the Power Up program. Are you guys aware of this yet? $25 for GameStop Pro, which offers less incentives and benefits. I somehow am expected to sell this card, which has become less and less relevant in recent years, at a higher price with less benefits than before. Add to the change for online free shipping on orders $80 and above, which just goes to show they don't want to provide that when most modern games cost around $75 to $78 tax, depending on where you live. The main reason I wanted to write in is listening to this podcast is what helped me build the courage to look for another job and leave. I've been looking for a bit here, but the stars thankfully aligned in the past week, and I was able to slap down my 2-week notice to my DL, whom has also been a nightmare to work with, and just tell them I'm worth more than this. I find it funny they always want to then have the conversation about what will it take to keep you when you get to this point. And in this case, I simply enjoyed responding with nothing.
Love it.
I feel bad for my staff. My assistant certainly will be offered the SL position and take it, and I knew he'll be fine, but I've shielded him from quite a bit this past few years. I somehow made it through the pandemic, getting COVID 3 different times thanks to our crummy work conditions, but enough is enough. Thanks again for this wonderful podcast, what you guys do, and hopefully reading my email. And please, I want to know your thoughts on the power-up changes because they suck. Now I'm going to go gladly take my promotion to Custo Guest."
Well, first thing, congrats to Ken.
Big congratulations.
Power move, getting the hell out. God, COVID 3 times, man. Oof, I had it once. And I had it once, and yeah. Oof. Oh man. All right. So the big thing is Gamestop Pro, and if people aren't aware of what this is, Power Up Rewards is changing to GameStop Pro. They did the spin where this is all leaked stuff. It's the internal stuff. Yeah. Which the minute they release anything internally, it's on the internet. So I don't even know why they bother. But so the GameStop Power Up card is no longer. It is now Pro. It's now $25 a year, as opposed to $15 or $20 if you wanted physical magazine. Now, I will say, a lot of this is leaked stuff. I've read as much as I can. There's conflicting information out there, too, about what it is, what's going away, what's staying. From my understanding, the $25 thing does not include the magazine anymore.
No, it's
because
just digital, right?
What they're just digital. But what they're trying to do now, and if you go to their website, it actually shows up on the front page, is sell individual issues of the magazine for $6.
So why does that magazine still exist?
Well, I think this is we've talked about it before, and it probably should have been gone a long time ago. But this is probably the end of physical, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be done.
It has to be.
Magazines mattered more 10 years ago when internet stuff wasn't as quick as it is now. But now the internet knows everything before anything else. The magazines were cool to get, but they're pointless now. Maybe the digital one makes sense, but when they first introduced that to us, we thought at the time, why are they even making it physical anymore? Just tell people it's digital and that's it. And then to finally separate it out to where physical was more expensive, maybe that's when you probably should have cut it. And now that it's not even a part of it, cut it. It's just gone. Let it go. But the other thing is, there was some initial confusion about this, and I think now that there's stuff coming back the other way, so the big thing about the GameStop card right now is you get that $5 coupon a month. Mm-hmm. Some people thought that was going away. That's apparently staying, which is good because that's a main reason a lot of people even do it. However, it's supposed to stop working on digital currency, which was the main reason a lot of people used it, because you could get $5 to Nintendo or $5 to PlayStation or whatever with it, but apparently that's not going to work anymore. So that's strike one. They added, so here you'll love. So there's new things that come with it. So here are the new things: 5% off all collectibles, trading cards, toys, and apparel. I guess if you're someone who buys a lot of Pokemon cards, they're a lot. Maybe that
benefits you.
Maybe that'll benefit you because it's the first time they've ever done trading card discounts. Yeah. So I guess maybe fine, but you still have to pay $25 a year to get 5% off a $5 pack of cards. That's a quarter, which means you'd have to buy 100 packs of cards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to break even. So I guess if you buy 200 packs of cards, it's worth it.
Good deal.
Here's the funny one, and you'll know why this is the best one just because of what it was like when we used to work there. 5% off pre-owned products. Remember when it was 10?
Yeah.
And then it was 0, and now it's 5. But that would mean that a game that's now $70, like Zelda, which presumably would be $65 used because we know how GameStop is.
No, it is. I've seen.
Okay, so $65 used for Zelda, which means your 5% discount saves you $3.25. You'd have to buy 7 used games at $65 over the course of a year to make that back.
Yeah.
Could I use my $5 discount too on that?
Oh, well, here's the thing: is some promotions stack and some don't. So, 5% off PRPs. That's a funny one. 5% off of a warranty on a system. What?
Well, yeah, why?
And some of these warranties are $50. That's $2.50.
Yeah.
But who cares? 5% off all GameStop brand products. So like this shitty controller sometimes, or the cables. To be fair, the number one selling cord thing we ever had was DS chargers. Remember that? Could never have enough of those things ever.
Never.
Because kids would always lose them.
Sold out.
Systems wouldn't come with them. Remember when they started doing that? We had to be like, hey, you're buying the system? Yeah. You have a 3DS already?
That was with the new 3DS XL. Yeah.
Do you have a DS? No, you need this. Really? I'll get one someplace else. I don't think so. You're probably getting it here, but okay.
And they come back and buy it.
They come back and buy it. 5% off all clearance stuff. So like wow. You mean the shit that's already on sale for 30% off all the time anyway? Yeah. Now that does stack. So if clearance is 30% off, you get 35. But if it's a collectible on clearance, you don't get 10 for it being 5 off a collectible, 5 off clearance. You only get 5. So that doesn't stack. And then the favorite, at least 4 Pro weeks a year. And as we know, Pro weeks are garbage and have no deals that anyone wants. Oh, whereas they should be the best deals of the year. It should be like, hey, Madden's half off. Or like they should always, for every one of those weeks, there should be one game that is like, fuck it, it's $20 kind of a thing. Yeah. And it never happens. It's always
never happens.
It'll be 10% off used games like it was, 6 years ago. That'll probably be what a Pro week is. So here's the other like little tidbit things about it. Can you sign up for Pro before 6/27, which is when this is supposed to happen? So about a month from now, at the current price, you can still sign up for $15 a year right now through 6/26. So if you want to keep your membership and you want to get these benefits for cheaper, go do it now. I'm not saying nobody should do this if they don't want to. If you want to do it, more power to you. But do it now. You should continue to enroll Pro memberships as normal. Please keep in mind you should not be allowing customers to pay for multiple years of Pro, which if people don't know, you can. You can pay for, I think it was like, what was it, 10 years?
Yeah.
It's something. It's some amount of number. Yeah, like you could have a card right now that's good through, I think, like 2030. I would say at the earliest, if you wanted to. But remember, even though you can, you're not supposed to. As a best practice, you can let customers renew their membership early 3 months before it's set to expire. So they want you to renew, but they don't want you to renew too early. Because the other kicker is, remember, they also want you on auto renew because they want to lock you in.
Yeah.
And now auto renew, if you're signed up and you think you might be on auto renew and you do not want this, go to a store and tell them to turn it off. Or you can do it yourself on the website, but that's if the website works properly. But if you have a card, for your own sake, make sure you're not turned on. So what's happening with Game Informer? With just one tier of Pro, all customers receive digital access to Game Informer. Pros that currently receive print can expect to receive magazines and mail for the time being. That's just all it says. We're working on other ways to make print Game Informer more accessible for customers. Stay tuned. Which means you can buy it for $6 at issue on the website.
Yeah.
Or $6 in store. These are like for associates. Is the goal remaining at 15%? Yes, it is. Uh-oh.
That's bad.
Yeah, because this is going to be harder. What if I told you, from what I've seen on the internet, on like Twitter and their Facebook, response is overwhelmingly negative.
Weird.
No way.
Weird.
But I haven't even gotten to the best part yet, Kyle. The best
I know what it is. Any
points earned more than 12 months from the date they are added to a member's account will expire. Not super weird. A lot of places do that where, like, if you don't use your card within a year, points start to expire. Mm-hmm. I understand that one. But here's the one I don't get. If a Pro membership is not renewed, then all points will expire along with the membership.
Oh.
How many times would you have someone who came into the store who was a good customer, had been there a while, whose membership had expired like 2 days before?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, sir. All of those points are gone.
Jesus.
Yeah. But here's a
lot of those people would use those points to renew.
And that's the point. That's why they're getting rid of it. Because the whole point of it was, your card expired 2 days ago, but you have 15,000 points. You want me to just renew it for you right now? Yeah, go ahead. That's how any normal person would renew their card, would be with the points you earned from the card, because it's free and then you just get your points back. You can't do that now.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. How did that happen? It was designed to do that. And then, like he talked about on there too, and I'm glad he brought it up because it's the exact reason I knew it was, free shipping threshold has skyrocketed to $79.99. Why is that?
What is it now, 35?
It's like 50. But okay, that's fine because it covers a game. Not anymore. You pre-ordered Diablo? Excellent. You'll need to pay shipping on that. Excuse me? Even if you're a member, you have to pay shipping on it. Excuse me?
Yeah.
If I'm a member at Amazon, I don't pay shipping on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've talked about it. Amazon kind of messes up a day or two here, but GameStop does too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get GameStop stuff day up, like Zelda. You and I were laughing about it. I got mine. Well, you had Best Buy and I had GameStop, right?
You got yours on time.
Mine was here. It's funny because my Amiibo and the Zelda game shipped separately a day apart.
I got my Amiibo. My Amiibo I got the day of. Best Buy, the thing about Best Buy is they fucked up and they put the wrong shipping on the wrong thing. So what they did is they overnighted the pre-order bonus, which the pre-order bonus from Best Buy was an art print.
Sure.
And then they ground shipped the fucking game. So I didn't get my game until that Saturday, like Saturday night.
But the point of it is everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
But now at GameStop, you get to pay for that mistake. If it's a mistake.
Jesus.
That's insane.
It's bad.
But it's by design. All of this is by design to fuck over the customer. Yep. Shipping prices up. Auto renew will automatically take $25 from you. But if you turn it off, you run the risk of losing all of your points. What? Bad. You finally get a discount off of used games again, but it's half of what it used to be. But the card is $10 more. And you don't get the physical magazine. It used to be $15 for a physical magazine, 10% extra on trades, 10% off of pre-owned. And that was it. That was the whole program. And at that price for what it got you, it was totally worth it. Trade in $75 worth of games in a year and buy $75 worth of used games in a year. Card is paid for itself and you got a magazine. Everything else is gravy after that point. Now it's almost impossible to hit $25.
Yeah.
If we're not counting the $5 coupons. Like that's just, you can't really count that because that is staying the same from before. So it's not an added benefit. It is what the benefit was.
Do you think there's any chance that this gets out enough that they change it?
It could be reworked. It can be reworked for sure.
Do you think it gets reworked?
I think the number one thing that might change is your points might not expire when the card expires.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that goes away, it would be that because they would still keep the rolling 12. Which is fine. Again, everyone does that. Even fucking pizza places do that. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But to strip your points if your card expires by a day is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Literally the next day you would come in. I'm sorry, sir. Your 30,000 points have expired.
Yeah.
Do you remember the one guy who bought and traded so he could have like 150,000 points? Were you there when that happened? He did it because remember we said the power of catalog. Remember that thing? You could get physical shit. Yeah. They had like a replica Warhammer hammer or something, and that guy really fucking wanted it. But it was 150,000 points, and he just traded and bought shit constantly to get points because he would buy like used stuff, play it for 2 days, and trade it and buy more used stuff because that was how you remember it was 20 points a dollar for that stuff. Imagine being that guy. And you come in the day after.
Oh, sure.
And your points are gone.
I don't even want to be that guy.
Not even that. Yeah. Don't imagine you're that guy, Matt. Imagine you're the customer who has to tell that guy that. Or the guest.
Fuck that.
The employee that has to tell that guy, I'm sorry, sir. Your card expired yesterday.
That's bad.
Your points balance is 0. Who's getting yelled at? Oh. You or the DM or the clown who came up with this program change? It's you.
It's you.
It just sounds like, I mean, I can tolerate everything else that's being said and done, but that right there would just
it's bad.
That's bad. Like that's horrible bad. That's
like I said, they're at least giving some discounts back, like, ones they took away from you. But to raise it $10 to do this is not the right move. To make it where my $5 coupon does not work on digital currency is not the right move. Like, none of this is correct. And it's so wrong and so, like, anti-customer. It had to have been done on purpose. Absolutely. They had to, like, the free shipping thing is the thing that proves that it was all done on purpose to stop saving people money. You cannot tell me that GameStop on a $70 game couldn't eat the free shipping cost. You cannot tell me that.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They don't have to anymore. So now you got to buy a game and $10 more, or you got to pre-order 2 games at once, or whatever. Or does that even count because it's a pre-order? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just it's nuts. It's so anti-customer. It's insane. And like, you just laugh because all these internal documents try to spin it. This is going to be great.
Oh, they do.
Don't worry, your goal's the same for now until we.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
Until we increase it.
Yeah.
Oh, they will.
Like,
there's no way it's being decreased.
The ultimate last thing I'll say about this, and like we'll probably talk about it more, next.
I'm sure
when it starts or whatever. And I want to know. I want to know, like, current employees. I want to know your thoughts about this kind of stuff, especially when it happens. But
yeah,
here's the best part.
Does it have a date?
6/27.
Oh,
so a month.
Okay.
The teams have been listening to members' feedback and are excited to deliver a new simplified, valuable program that gives members more reasons to shop. How is this simplified? You added weird, bizarre tiers of like new things that you get discounts on and some things you don't, and new discounts.
What customers said, yeah, I want to pay $10 more for less? No one said that.
They called up the guy who buys 300 Pokemon card packs a year and said, do you want to save 5% off Pokemon carts?
Sure, man.
The guy said, I'll do anything. And then he said, I'll do anything for a Charizard, man. Anything.
Anything.
And then they said, well, good news. It's coming.
Good news. Oh, man.
But yeah, so if you want to keep it, and if you are someone who buys Pokemon cards, or you're excited that you actually will get some sort of a discount for pre-owned games again now, go into the store and renew it now.
Yeah.
And if they tell you they can't renew it longer than a year, call them a liar to their face and do it. If you're an employee, renew your own card. No, don't ring yourself up. Have someone else ring you up for it. Because don't do that, because people get fired for that.
Yeah,
and I've seen that happen. Unless you're one of the special untouchables, like that one guy who ran the other Algonquin store. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he would ring himself up, and he was special and untouchable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the Power Up Rewards. Well, sorry, Pro program. And just
GameStop Pro.
Everybody's a pro now. Does the basic card still exist? It can't anymore, right?
I guess you can't do that
because that's points. Because it was building points.
It literally said in one of those documents you read, 1 tier only now. So,
well, it wouldn't work because the whole point of it was to build points. But if your membership's not active, you couldn't have points anymore.
Yeah, so that's why that doesn't exist anymore.
So what happens to those people?
They fucked.
So on 6/27, anybody who has a basic card, it just wipes your fucking points out.
They come in like, can you scan my basic card? Nope, you get out of here. You a basic bitch.
No, you basic.
Get out. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It'll cost you $25 to.
If one of you out there knows the answer to that, write in and tell us. Like, how does that work?
Remember the short-lived
I want to know.
Elite Pro program?
That was bad too.
No, but it was.
How long did that last?
That only lasted like a year, but it was bad for them because if you were smart, you could rip the company off with it.
Yeah,
because it was 20% off pre-owned games, and it was just like, holy shit! Why would you ever buy a new game if you had that card? And it was. I think that one was 25, or was it 30?
It was 25.
Okay, it was 25 or 30, but like, it's such a weird, like, it should not have existed kind of a thing. Not. And
that's why they
killed it pretty quick.
They killed it quick.
Yeah.
All right. But we asked last week.
Into the fun part.
Yeah. We asked people last week to write in with their controversial gaming opinions. And we got quite a few here. So we're gonna go through some of them. I don't think I put these in a specific order because there'll be other emails in here, but we'll go through them as we go through the emails here. So our first one comes to us from Brian from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He says, hi all, love the conversation about controversial game opinions last week. Here's mine. I don't think the Mario series has been good since it went to 3D form, and I get a ton of shit for it. Thanks for reading. I mean, I can see somebody having that opinion
on that one.
Mario is one of those series too where, like, I don't necessarily think it depends on it being 2D or 3D. Some of them just aren't as fun as other ones. Like, they just aren't.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because, like, I like some 2D ones. I like some, like, I don't like Mario 64, but I love Sunshine. And I like Mario 3D Land on the 3DS, but I don't like 3D World.
I will tell you this. I like 3D World, but not with 4 people.
It's impossible.
It's chaos.
I tried to play with my kids. You cannot play that game with
chaos.
No.
It's too much going on.
Yeah.
Tyler from Big Falls, Minnesota. Hi, guys. Here's my controversial gaming opinion. Call of Duty has been bad since Modern Warfare 4 in 2007. They took something that was like an extension of Medal of Honor and instead turned it into a Walmart bargain bin shooter that everyone seems to love.
I can fully agree with that.
I love this one because, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, remember, like, Call of Duty 2 and 3? And, like, I'd even say, like, the campaign of Modern Warfare, like, cutting aside the multiplayer, that campaign was pretty awesome.
It's incredible. So, Modern Warfare, like, that campaign is amazing.
It is.
And then I just, like, everyone after that, it was just like, I don't think I care about these anymore. It didn't feel like they did either. Black Ops, okay. Ghost was bad.
For me, it peaked with like, I really like Modern Warfare. I really enjoyed Modern Warfare 2. And then Black Ops for me was kind of like the peak where I'm like, okay, this is really good. And then you get Modern Warfare 3, which is not made by those people because they left, you know, and then they went and made Titanfall. And then after that, it just got, okay, now we're going into space, and kids hated the space one. I liked the space one, but most people hated that one. So there's a controversial opinion.
I think Modern Warfare 2
Warfare was pretty good.
I think Modern Warfare 2 is the one where I finally was like, I think I'm out.
The multiplayer, though, it just got, it became too much of its own thing where every year it's like, okay, I'm leveling up to this high level. Now what?
Do it again.
So I could buy a new game next year and do the same thing.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So some people, that's their thing, but it never was for me.
Yeah. Call of Duty reminds me of a sports title. Like,
it is at this point. It's a year. It's your annual sports title.
Get over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what they turned it into. So I have not played a Call of Duty since the Modern Warfare remake. That was what, 2019?
I can't tell you the last one I played.
That was because the first one for the current systems was the Cold War Black Ops game. I didn't play that. I did not play Modern Warfare 2. I think there was one other in there, but I literally
could not tell you. And it's funny too, because like I tell people that, like, there's a guy I work with who plays games, and we kind of chat about stuff from time to time. And he's like, "You play Call of Duty?" I'm like, "Shit, dude, I haven't played Call of Duty in 10 years." He's like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, I mean, I just don't care. I just really don't."
It was the thing for years. It'd be the one thing where my parents were like, "Well, we want to get you a game for Christmas," and every year I'd be like, "Just get me the latest Call of Duty." And I'd wait and get that for Christmas. And then
you got to the point where
Modern Warfare, I was like, you know what? Just get me something else. I don't care.
I jumped off of that because I actually enjoyed playing Battlefield more.
Yeah.
Like, just because I liked the way that multiplayer was structured better with like the bases and stuff like that felt better to me. But then they fucking killed that game. And it's just
killed that
there's
game.
nothing left. Yeah. Titanfall was the best last multiplayer game I think I enjoyed.
Titanfall 2, I really enjoyed.
Game. Really good game.
Grant from Newport Beach, California. Howdy, guys. Controversial gaming opinion here. Nintendo is overrated. They've been doing the same thing time and time again, failed with some generations, GameCube and Wii U, while having success in the modern era with Wii and Switch. I mean, they have been doing the same thing in terms of like making, you know, Mario and Zelda and stuff, but I don't think that they're overrated.
I will say, I think from that standpoint, like, Nintendo fanboys tend to go harder than any other subset.
Absolutely.
Because in their head, Nintendo can do no wrong, and the Wii U was great, even though, like, we all know it was not at all.
Here's something I'll say. You and I know somebody that we used to work with, not at GameStop, but the job after.
Oh, yeah.
They collect everything, but they only play Nintendo Switch.
He would not shut the hell up about Pokemon Sword and Shield.
I could not imagine in the modern era of consoles only playing games on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
No.
I think the only other game I ever talked to him about that was not a Nintendo game was we talked about Monster Hunter World.
Okay.
Like for a day. And that was about it. But then he was too busy telling me about, I set up this thing to hatch shinies, and it's like, take a break.
Dude, I'm not into Pokemon.
Not anymore.
No. I think one of our opinion, we'll get to it, but I think we do have one that's about Pokemon now that you say it. Next one we have comes from Carrie from Cedarville, Ohio. Hey, all, I don't mean this as a dig, but I feel like it's controversial today to still be an Xbox fan, even after the 2013 fiasco and the current with ABK, Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
Do you get me? Thanks. I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, it's hard. I would say, like, I am an Xbox fan, and it is hard to. it is hard to say, well, I enjoy playing games on the Xbox.
It's hard to defend
the first
them.
Thing you'll get is go.
Yeah.
It's even harder to defend it now. But then the first thing you'll get is, well, what are you even playing there?
It's a good point. And then you were like, that's a good point.
That's the first thing you'll get every time. So, well, what do you even play there?
It's
like,
tough.
What games are you playing?
I love
the same games you're playing.
Yeah, like I love Xbox. I got really hooked on it when I started at Game Crazy because it had been out for a little bit, and I only had a PS2, and we hooked up an Xbox, and that's when I got to play stuff at the store. Like the first couple weeks were open, like Dead or Alive and NFL Fever and like Halo and all that kind of stuff, and I really fell in love with it. I was like, man, Xbox is really good. And then you played more, and it's like it was really good. And I really feel like original Xbox. I mean,
it's Dreamcast too.
Yeah, it was it was the next evolution of a Dreamcast, which I'd already loved, like, and was so sad that died. But then like original Xbox, we talked about it last time too, where it has a lot of weird like Xbox exclusives. Like games that are just really good, and they're Xbox only. And it's strange to think about now. And then the 360 came out, and man, like that system was a banger from day one. Like it was so good.
It was,
and it just
that system fired on all cylinders.
It was so
think
good.
About, and that's why I put it in like top 3 systems of all time for me. Is like think about what the 360 launched as and what it ended as.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is completely different by the time it was over. First system that took major updates to a dashboard.
Yep.
First system that allowed you to stream content.
Yeah.
Like videos. Like remember when Netflix launched on that thing? That was an insane
arcade.
Thing. I'm watching Ratatouille on my fucking Xbox streaming from
the concept of
the internet.
The concept of like Xbox Arcade, where you would just like install smaller like one-off games you would play on your phone or something like on there.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they like, well, here's Hexic for free, and you're like, hush, is Hexic? Who cares about Hexic? Then you play it for like fucking 10 hours. Like Hexic is great. So
for me, it was Xbox Live too, but I never hooked up an original Xbox.
I was on Xbox Live from day one when it first came out, and it was just one of those things where Xbox just seemed to really be smart about things and think about things in the future early. And then the problem they started to face was when they started to go too far out of the box. Kinect, I think, was the first time you saw them take a swing and completely fucking miss. And it was like, man. And then they started to, they wanted to be a media center, but they didn't go all the way. Remember Xbox TV? Remember when that was supposed to be a thing?
Yeah.
And then it just turned into
every Xbox One, including the One X all the way down the original Xbox One, has that second HDMI port.
That's great though. Like I do run my cable box through it and have it as an app on there, because then it's easy for me to go between that and like Netflix and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is today, it's not a bad idea. But the problem is today, all TVs are smart TVs. And everything has Netflix and YouTube and stuff in it.
Yeah.
So I don't need an Xbox to do that anymore.
No, like it's been a long time since I've used like the Xbox I've used as a Blu-ray play, like a 4K Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. But in terms of regular apps like Netflix, I do that all through the TV.
Yeah,
apps.
TV does.
Like I don't use systems for that anymore.
So it's just like they seem to have gotten off to a great head start, and then it just like it seemed like something paused, and then now
they had the wrong leadership.
They did for a long time,
fumbled.
And then now that we're at this part where like they seemingly can't release games unless they're Forza, it's a problem. And I was reading something too. I read it. It was an IGN article, I think, too, where it said, "God, for the love of God, Starfield better hit." Because
it has to.
If it doesn't,
it has to.
Like let's be real. If it doesn't, they're in trouble.
If Starfield doesn't hit, and it's not like if that game comes out and it's even remotely close to Redfall disaster, they're done this generation.
It's over.
Like it's, you're going to see a lot of people selling their Xboxes to get PlayStations.
I think if that happens, the only thing they have left is they have to
pump these other games out.
Not only that, but like they have to fix Game Pass. I don't say that in a way that it's broken, but I say that in a way that it is not what it could be.
It's not what it could be, and also like lately, like remember Game Pass, like they were getting some pretty big and cool titles. They haven't really in a while.
No, and that's what they need to do. They need to do big things that aren't them. Like they need
You don't have to. Instead of going out and buying studios, you can go out and buy like, hey, We want your game to come to Game Pass.
Make a deal. Make a deal immediately. Yeah. Think what would be something they could do that could do that. Like there has to be something, but like they would have to come out and be like, look, I'll just use this.
I got a big one.
What?
I'll give it a big example. Grand Theft Auto 6 on Game Pass.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they could pull that off? Like that's gonna be difficult to sell because you and I both know that GTA is a PlayStation game. Like it just is.
Like again, the argument's there of like, what do? Do you pay 10, 15? If it's just Xbox Game Pass, it's $10.
Mm-hmm.
You pay $10, you can play GTA 6.
Yeah, I
pay $70.
If that was a real option, I'm playing it on Xbox. There's no reason.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the level of like deal they need to do with Game Pass to really get people to turn their heads back at the platform.
They need to be there every day. I mean, like, what is it going to take?
If Starfield fails.
If Starfield fails. If Starfield comes out
and it's broken.
I would say it needs to be Fallout 4 level good. Because
it needs to I expect the Bethesda jank out of that game because it's a fucking Bethesda game.
There's too much shit going on. Something's gonna break. Fine.
And that's what I expect. If it comes out at like a Fallout 4 level or like Fallout 3 or like something like that, that's fine. Right.
Those games break
because it's still playable.
Skyrim.
Is this dude's head spinning around? Who cares?
If it's Skyrim level good out of the box, then it's fine.
That's fine.
But if it's not, then like they need to go to Rockstar and be like, listen, write a number down on this piece of paper.
Exactly.
And slide it over to me and I'll open it up. I'll cry a little bit and then I'll get out the checkbook. Like they have to do it.
Because here's the other thing. Like if they can pay $70 billion to get Activision, Blizzard, all that to own it, they can pay whatever amount to get GTA on Game Pass.
Wouldn't you argue at that point too where like it's worth taking a loss?
Yeah. Because here's
just
the
to
thing.
Get people to come over.
We're not talking about getting the game exclusive. No, we're not talking about only having it on the Xbox. We're talking about just having it on Game Pass day one.
Right. Which is already going to be a huge benefit of the Activision thing because they're going to get Call of Duty. They're going to get all of that stuff. Great. But if they could still pull off getting GTA, that's a bombshell. Like, that's insane.
It's a bombshell. And, like, at that point, that's a game where, like, if people haven't upgraded to one of these systems, they will for Grand Theft Auto 6.
It's a choice, especially if you have a Game Pass.
Because that game's not coming out on Xbox One and PS4. No way.
It can't. It cannot.
So, it ain't coming to the Switch. No. Like, I'll tell you right now.
Well, it is, but it's been delayed for 6 months and then another.
There you go. But that is the level I would tell you they have to go to get people to turn their heads towards Xbox again. If Starfield is
that would be
a failure.
Imagine the fucking announcement that would be. That would break like the internet.
It'd break the internet. It would break the internet. Just like
it would break
like
our gaming might shut off for the day.
Yeah.
Because every fucking post on our gaming would just be like GTA. I'm a Sony fanboy. I'm going to kill myself because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah,
blah,
exactly.
blah, 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 blah. And you're like, listen, man, not that big of a deal. You can still buy it.
I can see, like, that's the thing, though. I can see they have the money of the two companies, too. Like, they're the ones that would do it. They have the money.
Because of the two companies, I feel like they're the one that would take a loss to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because realistically, whatever number it is a loss. They're going to lose a lot of money to do that.
Because again, they're not buying exclusivity to that game. They're just buying it to put it on this platform day one.
Yeah. All of this being said, I don't think that will ever happen. Just because
I don't think it would happen.
No. Sony, Jim Ryan would lose his mind.
You want to talk? You think that guy's flying his jets around for Activision? Can you imagine how fast the jet gets fired up for that?
He'd be flying to fucking Mars to try to stop that thing.
It'd be insane.
Strap me in as he just shoots himself into space.
Exactly. I have to stop
to stop it all.
That would
the only thing left is for me to nuke the sun itself.
Ben from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Opinion, all caps. Street Fighter is overrated and dated.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's the best fighting game anymore.
I don't either. I think Mortal Kombat is. So.
I think Mortal Kombat, I would argue Tekken, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're big.
I'm a big Tekken guy. I'm a bigger Soul Calibur guy, but I would admit that like Soul Calibur's not that great anymore either. But.
I mean, we can talk about the real fighting game here, which is Dead or Alive.
Well,
that's not coming back.
I'm never getting another one. It's more likely I get another volleyball game than an actual Dead or Alive game.
I'll take it.
I
would take it.
I'll take it.
If they announced that, man,
Extreme 4, PlayAsia.com.
Let's order. Exactly. You don't have to release it here.
No, it's fine. I'll buy it.
Versus Capcom.
I'll find a way. I think Infinite killed that game too.
Yeah,
I
do too.
Sadly. Two amazing games. 3, I was just happy to get it, and it was still pretty good. It
sucks because we live in a time you would think, like, even after that, you would think it would be easy for them to make a game like that that's good, but they made Infinite.
Well, so. And we were talking about Street Fighter. We're talking about 2D fighter versus all these other ones being more 3D type stuff.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think it's the best 2D fighter anymore. I think Guilty Gear is a better fighting game built on that style. Those games are awesome as hell. For sure. That all this being said, like I'm excited for 6, but it's not something I will buy right away. Like I feel I'll wait for reviews. I'll read it. It'll be on sale.
I think the last Street Fighter I played was 4. I didn't play 5.
I played a lot of 4. I tried to play 5, but that game at the launch was not good. It was it
was not good at launch, and they released
half of the game.
800 different versions.
Yeah, it was like half of the game.
Yeah. I don't know.
So I would agree with this take as well. 6 has a chance, but Tekken 8 comes out soon. It does. So
it does. Nigel from Redacted. Howdy, guys. Love the podcast. You asked on the last episode for anyone to chime in regarding the Zelda launch and if it was garbage for GameStop. Let me tell you, it sucked ass for my store. I'm an SL, and we were shorted those stupid board pre-order bonuses. So naturally, every single person that reserved and even casually walking in expected to have this board. I spent more time telling people we are out of that stupid board than to think any other pre-order bonus I've ever been. I've been here for 6 years. Did you guys ever have a pre-order bonus fiasco like this? Thanks.
I mean,
so you wrote some things.
We knew that board was going to be a problem.
Oh, I knew.
Did you know they also had something else that they did not announce until they came out? They had an arm sleeve. Because Link's got the hand. Yeah. So there was an arm sleeve, which is something they did not advertise. And it just was like, if you came in at midnight, you got one kind of a thing.
Okay.
I will say that I did not go to a store to pick it up, but I still got the board and one of the arm sleeves. But
there you go.
To be filed away, for no one else to ever. I like to think of the way I file stuff away as like the arc at the end of Raiders. It gets put in a box and on a shelf, and it's just
what's in this?
Nobody
box?
ever goes into that warehouse again.
Opens up. Yeah.
So the number one thing that jumps to my mind, and I think I talked about this a long time ago, but we'll talk about it again, is Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Big time release. And this would have been 2010?
Yeah. 2010.
Big time release. Remember, this is also at a time where I don't recall if we did Nintendo Midnights at that. So it would have been a day of release kind of a thing. And
okay.
We all know Gold and Silver. It had the Pokédex thing in it. It was the big box thing. It was a huge, everybody was beyond up the fucking wall for this game.
Okay.
And I remember there was 4 of us working. This is when I worked at an older store that was probably about as big as our store was. Not even, maybe not even, but the line wrapped from the counter to the back of the store around back out to the front, out the door kind of a thing. And we probably had somewhere between 200 to 300 copies of each game because we had, I don't even remember how many pre-orders, probably somewhere around 400 to 500 total. Because a lot of people did both. Some people did 1, some people did 2 of each. Some people did, we had one lady, I think, who had 4 of each. And here's the kicker. There was a pre-order bonus, and it was a gold figure of, I think it's Ho-Oh, right? Is the bird on that one, and the silver figure, which is Lugia. So the 2 birds, and they were big figures. They were not big figures, but they were a couple inches tall, wide, and they came in a box. And we had a shitload of them because they were reserve bonus. And I had them all stacked behind the counter. Because you know how our counter was, where we had the 2 cabinets and that thing in the middle. This store had 3 sliding glass cabinets, which was really fucking impractical. So eventually, at one point when I was working there, I just took all the doors off and put them in the back, and they were just cabinets behind the door. And the entire fucking middle one was just these figures to the top. Pre-order figures. So obviously, pre-orders were a different thing in 2010 than they were now, where even if you didn't reserve it, we had copies. We got a shitload of this game, right?
Yeah, it's not today.
Every single person in line, if you didn't have reserved, well, can I get one of those figures? No, you cannot. What do you mean? Those were for reserves. Well, I'm buying it right now, and you have some. No, because of course we did not have enough of those to cover the 400 reserves. We had a lot, but not that many. But you know how reserves are. 10% of people don't pick them up. 20% of people don't pick them up. Whatever.
Yeah.
And it was at that point. It's a first come, first served basis just because of how many I have. You preserve 2 copies of the game. Great. You get 2. You reserved a copy of the game, but you need to buy another one at the same time. I can absolutely sell you another copy of the game. You get 1 figure. Well, both of my kids are going to want one. I don't know what to tell you, lady. Well, I'm blah, blah, blah. I don't care. So just having to fight these people about this stupid fucking figure. And then it turns out like the guy on the other register was just giving them out. I wasn't paying attention. Because I was the third key at this time. I was not in charge.
Yeah.
And he's just giving them out. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Well, they're buying the game. No, stop. You have to stop. He'd already gone through like 50 of them. So, of course, the next day rolls around. We're out of them. People are coming to pick up their reserves. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not getting any more. Can you call another store? I can guarantee they don't have them. Yeah. Like, that thing was...
That's the point.
That thing was a shit show. Like, that was bad, especially because this other idiot made a mistake. But, as time went on, things would definitely get worse in terms of we would not get enough of things. And it would get to the point where, remember, we would print out the reserve list and I'd draw a thick line between it. Be like, these people get it. These people don't, at least for the first 48 hours. And it got to a point where after 48 hours, he finally had to be like, it's anybody's game at this point for reserves.
Well, then you just wanted that shit.
And then I wanted out of here because I don't want to have this argument anymore. But I can't think of another one specifically that was bad. Steelbooks would always be a problem. Especially the cases like, remember Assassin's Creed 3 where they sent them before the game was even out?
Yeah, that was
so you would get a steelbook when you would reserve the game.
That was very dumb. I remember that.
But the other thing was like there were so fucking many of those it almost actually didn't even matter because every fucking copy of it would have a steelbook. And turns out Assassin's Creed 3 was the one everybody hated. So nobody really cared about it.
It was really the
controversial opinion. I didn't. But just like the board thing, we knew it was going to be bad. Anything Fire Emblem, always bad.
Oh, really bad.
Always bad. The fucking keychains for the Awakening game, that was bad. Not Awakening, which one? The other one, Fates. Just like, it never went right, I'll tell you that, but most of the time it never went super wrong. At Game Crazy, it was nuts because we always had extras. We had a drawer full of extra pre-order bonuses. Sometimes pre-order bonuses back then would be nuts. One time the pre-order bonus was a free copy of a download for Banjo-Kazooie for Xbox. I forget what that was for, but
do you remember the pre-order bonus for Castlevania Portrait of Rune?
No.
It came out when it was the 20th anniversary, so it's like this cool envelope thing that you open up, and it had like couple different styluses for the DS. It had like a soundtrack. Like it was arguably one of the best pre-order bonuses that GameStop ever had.
Sometimes there would be like
it was a shit ton of stuff.
DS cases would be one sometimes.
Yeah,
but then be sometimes where like you'd have 12 pre-orders to get 4. You'd be like, oh no, oops, sorry.
Next email we have comes from Rhett from Austin, Texas. He says, "Hi guys, I wanted to share a big thank you to Dan for saying the N64 is a bad system in 2023. I 100% agree and get shit on for this opinion time after time. Like, come on, subtract those wrestling games and there's virtually nothing playable on that system today. The controller is nightmare fuel even looking at it. I have no idea how I spent hundreds of hours with this system as a kid. Thanks again."
Probably
he's not wrong.
Probably because it was the only thing you had. Like, to be fair, And that can.
I've said before, like when I got my PS1, like I still played like some of the bigger games that came out for the system, like Perfect Dark and stuff. But like I was primarily PS1 all the time.
Yeah,
that was I gravitated towards that. I didn't look back.
I had a 64 until I got a PS2. I never had a PS1, and it was just one of those things where as soon as I got the PS2, I was off 64.
Yeah. Here's a good question. David from Portland, Oregon says, "Hey guys, I have a question for you. What's a canceled video game that you were excited for that you still think about today? Mine is Deep Down, shown at PS4's first E3. Thanks. That's a good one, to be fair. So we've written down some ones here. I will go first. Prey 2. You remember Prey 2 was going to be the bounty hunter looking for different alien species and stuff. That looked fucking amazing. But that game was announced in the 360 era. It sounded too much for a 360 game at the time. Mm-hmm. So it was already kind of a weird thing. Castlevania Resurrection, which is the Dreamcast Castlevania game that never came out. I had this reserved at a GameStop. Think about that.
Wow.
I was
well, remember the years of GameStop where like as soon as something was announced, reservable.
It didn't matter.
Reservable.
I had Zelda Wind Waker reserved immediately when they showed that Space World demo.
Yeah.
Before it was even known that was Wind Waker.
Yeah.
And then of course a favorite here, StarCraft Ghost.
Well, that's like the classic of.
But of the three, I'd say Castlevania Resurrection is probably the one that hurts the most, especially now since we've had actual footage of it. Castlevania Resurrection was a 3D. It was the first 3D post N64 Castlevania game that was going to be on the Dreamcast.
So it was like,
if you look it up now, there was a prototype.
Games.
Yeah, okay. Pre the PS2 games. It was a different bell. I want to say the Belmont was a lady this time.
Okay.
It was on Dreamcast. It looked fucking amazing. If you go back to like some of those Game Informers around that time, there were actual print ads for it.
I remember that footage just came out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, about a year ago, somebody found a prototype somehow and uploaded it on YouTube. So like you can see, I mean, it's pretty rough, but you can see what the game kind of was going to be. Yeah. So that would be the hardest one for me of those three. Prey 2 too. And like I still have the keychain somewhere. Remember they sent out that Bethesda pack?
Yeah.
I have a Prey 2 keychain.
That's awesome.
So what about you, Dean?
Mine is what I always come back to, just like it's like half joke, half I was really pissed off this game got canceled. This game is called Frame City Killer. I think this was only ever like it was in a magazine, and then I think I talked about it a little bit, and then it just kind of like never got talked about again until it was gone. But it was basically like Hitman before Hitman. It was a futuristic city where supposedly it was you were in a city and you would get assignments to take out targets, and it was supposed to be like a persistent kind of a thing, and you had like futuristic gadgets kind of stuff. So it was kind of like you go around and you'd like have to take people out and stuff. Like looking back on it now, because I think it was announced before the 360 came out. I might be wrong. This is so long ago. There's no possible way that game would have worked. Like I don't know. There's no possible way that it could have worked the way they spoke about it, just because even talking about it now, it seems like something that would be hard to do. And this is 2023, but I know for a fact it's in an old EGM. Like I know for a fact
was it a 360 era game or early?
Oh, it might have been a late Xbox game. Now that I think about it, I'm going to pull it up. Hang on, because Frame City Killer video game. No, it was probably a 360 launch title, I'm guessing. Yeah, it was. Okay, so. Was a 360 video game under development by Namco. You were secret agent Crow, who must hunt down Khan, a terrorist and drug lord, who's creating visual acid. After repeated delays in development, a lack of presentation, and numerous shows, media releases that failed to impress, Namco canceled it in May 2006.
Okay, so it would have been 360.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be like 360 launch title. I want to say it was talked about before it came out, but I was very like into the idea of it. The stupid cover of it is ridiculous. Here, let's see. The first article for it was May 12, 2005.
Okay.
So yeah, pre 360. God, God, what a fucking game. And then another quick one I'll talk about. This was an original Xbox game, was True Fantasy Live Online. It's supposed to be
I remember.
Supposed to be like one of the first major Xbox Live titles where like it was just it was like a scaled down MMO where like you'd create a character, you'd have a little job in this fantasy town that you could play with other people.
Yeah.
I was super into that just because it was like, wow, an MMO for Xbox? That doesn't seem complicated, and you've got your headset. Like, it seemed like it could be fun. And then it just kept getting strung along and delayed. And then another one that just popped into my head because it was around the same era. Remember that, like, 10 million BC game? Remember that game?
I forgot about that.
Supposed to play like a caveman or some shit, and it was like dinosaurs, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah. How about you, Matt? You got anything?
So, I don't really pay attention to a lot of things.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I just kind of go with whatever I can catch. But I do remember playing a lot of that WWE All-Stars back when it first released, because it was kind of it reminded me like of, like he was saying earlier, the N64 games, the wrestling games that everybody was a fan of. And I do remember looking into this because I was such a big fan of All-Stars, but WWE was going to do another one. It was like WWE Brawl, I believe is what they refer to it as. I think, though, what happened is THQ went bankrupt and lost the rights. Yeah. And so, like, they had, like, a couple of screenshots of it, and I was looking it up beforehand. But, I mean, it looked interesting, and, I mean, it could have been fun. If you were a fan of All-Stars, you probably were a fan of that. You probably would have been a fan of that one.
Yeah,
because All-Stars is very over the top, and that's why I really enjoyed it.
I haven't.
It's a fun game. It's an arcade. It's like arcade wrestling.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. It was a lot of fun, especially when you have a bunch of people and
for sure,
it's a new age system and stuff like that. So I mean, that for me, I think was one that
there was one
tried to keep up with, but then when it was canceled, I was like, oh well, okay, whatever.
All right.
Hey, Cal, real quick, I want to read the True Fantasy Live online overview just so people know what this game is like. Okay. This is great. Like you know what the number one thing I forgot about it?
I remember it.
Number one thing I forgot about it? Developed by Level 5.
Oh,
that's why I was amped. Like that's why I was like, it's got to be good. Announced in 2002. Oh my God. So much fanfare. Set in a sprawling fantasy world, the game had cel-shaded graphics. I remember what it looked like, which was unique to MMOs at the time. The world was planned to be large in the tradition of many fantasy RPGs, had lush green plains, cities, and dungeons. Players could ride horses or journey on foot. We intended not only having an assortment of quests to pursue, but monsters to hunt. Also communities of customizable player housing, a dozen job choices, the ability to join one of many adventure guilds. You could even be you could be a warrior. You could just be a chef in that game. I remember that's what intrigued me about it. And then there was, it was to be the first MMO with voice chat compatibility. And the game was set to feature up to 3,000 players in the same world. And then it got canceled.
Never worked.
It got canceled in June of 2004. I think if they could have scaled that back. Like if it had 500 people, that would have been enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But level 5, that's why I was so amped.
I remember reading about it in EGM.
God, I got to go dig out some old EGMs and look those up.
There you go.
You missed an opinion one right above that question.
I did. Okay, let me go back here.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Fred from Jacksonville, Florida says, controversial opinion. Pokemon hasn't been good since Yellow, and y'all just crazy.
Hey, I can understand that.
I mean,
I can also agree. Like, I don't know.
Green, so yeah,
my problem is every time I try to get into a new Pokemon, I just can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like every time.
I bounced out at the DS version when it got to like Diamond and Pearl. That's when I kind of gave up. I played a lot of Ruby and Emerald, but after that, after Game Boy Advance, fuck it.
I want to say I bought either Sword or Shield. I don't remember which one I bought. I bought one of those. I don't think I ever even touched it. I tried that. What was that one called that starts with an A? Like
Arceus?
Arceus.
Yeah. That's a different game, though. Like, that's not...
It's a different type of game. That game just had performance issues like crazy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get into that. And then the most recent one I didn't try. So
they should just say fuck it and be like Leaf Green again.
Like, the last one I got 100% through was Diamond.
Even
that was like 07. Yeah. So let's see. Next one we have is Gary from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Hi guys, what is the craziest and out of left field announcement that Microsoft could announce at their showcase to get people back on board? What do you want to see? Thanks. I mean, it's too early for that GTA 6 Game Pass announcement.
Simple answer right here.
I got one.
True Fantasy Live Online.
Oh, hey, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Like, hey guys,
bring it back.
20 years ago.
21 years ago.
What if they did that kind of trailer? What if they did one of those trailers 21 years ago? Level 5.
Just level 5 comes up on the screen and I go, oh my God. That'd be really fun.
I mean, I think an easy one that would get some people back in the door. Like at this point, how about you just make Banjo 3?
Yeah, a real Banjo would be great.
Yeah,
like an actual real sequel.
Get the guys
made by Rare.
Not even that. No, I don't want them to do it.
Get the people.
Call the ukulele people and say, "Hey, you basically made Banjo 3. Come do it for real."
That's an easy.
That's
one.
A good
like one. I cannot take that much to do that.
Ukulele really is a super fun game that is identical.
It is.
So
it is.
I don't need it again.
Crazy though. Like I mean, the GTA 6 is still like a crazy one, but it's too early.
Crackdown, but it does the thing they promised me it would do in 3.
I don't think Crackdown ever comes.
No,
back.
It doesn't. It doesn't because 3 was bad, But remember,
it wasn't bad. It just was Crackdown.
But it wasn't what it was supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to level buildings and shit.
That mode, and remember when that mode released as a separate download, and it did not work. Nope. So if you played just regular Crackdown 3 with a buddy, it was fine.
We played it. It was more Crackdown. I don't have a problem with it.
I like Crackdown, so I enjoyed it.
Well,
I like Terry Crews was there for some reason.
I like Crackdown and Crackdown 3. Let's be clear. I don't like Crackdown 2. Is not good
at all. I don't know. Like the Banjo would be an easy one. That's just an easy target for like, okay, you will make people happy if you fucking announce we're doing that.
Scalebound is back.
I could see that being another big one, especially since that team, why can't I think of their name? Platinum. They want to do a game with Xbox again. That guy's been out there saying it. Just bring it back. Hey, we're going to make Scalebound.
They don't have the thing about Microsoft, and this has always been a problem. They don't have a huge library. Like I think a realistic one that we've brought up multiple times that would be huge, especially if they showed it, is Fable. Like if they could show,
and I think
gameplay of Fable.
I think this is the showcase where they have to show Fable.
That's enough to get people excited.
Yeah,
for like
I think this showcase you will see that. I think you see whatever this fucking Avowed game is that people are literally like swearing their lives on that game. I don't get that one, but I would like to see what it is.
What about another Viva Pinata?
Hey man, I'm in. Viva Pinata is
that going to light the world on fire? No, but I would be excited for that.
That'd be day one Game Pass.
That was a Rare game, right?
Yeah, it's a day one Game Pass game. Sure, Viva Pinata is great.
The problem with Rare is they're so busy. Like I would like if they came out and said, "Hey, you know what? That game Rare has been working on is dead. Now we're making Viva Pinata 3." Or
hell yeah,
like, that's what I like.
Don't make it a stupid party game. Make it Viva Pinata 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Games are great, and you know what? For fun. You put the physical release in another weird ass box like that first one is in. Yeah. Remember that? Because it's like a slip cover half.
Oh, I do because it's on my shelf and it looks
a pain in the ass.
I mean, I can't think of another like crazy out there like high level. You know, it's gonna melt.
That's not obscure shit that we would like. Like Otogi 3. Or I talked about it before, Sudeki 2. That's a great game that people do not get.
Bring back like an old original Xbox franchise.
You know what's a good one? Here's a good one.
Blinks.
Jade Empire.
Yeah.
Because that game is actually awesome as hell. And they just they made it another one, and then they were like, never mind.
Blinks.
Well, the Time Sweeper is always here.
We need it.
He's always in your heart.
Hey man, we need a new mascot. Master Chief's on life support. So, do they own Earthworm?
I don't know. Toe Jam and Earl.
Can we go back to Tao Feng?
you know what?
Shoujin.
They own Killer Instinct. They're not doing anything with that. So
they haven't touched that.
They could do something with that, but like, I agree with Matt. Like, I would rather see a Tao Feng sequel than a new Killer Instinct at this point.
There you go.
Bring me more realistic bruising in 2023.
They'll never go back to that.
I don't think they'll ever.
Killer Instinct is probably as deep as they go.
I think so. I don't know. It's odd. Other than that GTA 6, and it's too early. So
Fable.
I don't.
I think Fable is the most realistic thing that would be a big enough thing because we all know it exists.
Mean, if you could show anything on Perfect Dark, you would, but I think that's the one game you don't see even a mention of it here, and it's not ready.
No, it's not.
And we all know that's going to be bad when they finally show you.
Indiana Jones is out today. The other one. How about that?
No. I think so. We kind of talked about this, in the past week, but like Indiana Jones, and that's been heavily rumored. I think it is shown here, and I think it does come out this fall.
It could.
There you go.
They have, because again, that's the only thing they've been working on. They put Wolfenstein 3 on hold to make this game.
And when is the hype for an Indiana Jones game going to be higher? It's now.
Exactly.
You have to do it now.
Even if that movie comes out next month and it's bad.
They literally just started making the figures, like action figures again. The movie is out. Now is the time.
And you would think that when they sign that deal, there's probably a clause in it where it's like, hey, you have to deliver this game within X amount of months of the movie coming.
You would think so, but those don't always hold up. Here's a good one I thought that Microsoft could steal. Here's a great one to steal and be like, it's on Game Pass day one. The Bond game.
That's a good one, yeah.
Made by IO. They have a good relationship. They do have that
relationship with IO. Yeah.
IO doesn't give a shit about Sony that much anymore. Ever since they kind of like walked away from all that stuff. Like if they came out and said IO's new Bond game is day one Game Pass, that's big.
Pretty cool. Yeah, that's a big one
because everyone loves IO, so it doesn't really matter what that Bond game is. But that's a good one.
We'll see. June 11th is not too far away.
This is the best time of the year because we get 3 big shows.
Yeah. We get 3 big shows. We get to hype ourselves up.
We get to hype ourselves up and then just be like, man, that show sucked. Except for Nintendo.
Hey, they brought out Keanu Reeves. That was kind of cool, but like
that sold a couple extra copies of Cyberpunk to some fools.
It did.
But Nintendo,
that's a good game now.
And Nintendo always delivers, so it's okay.
They do. Got another controversial gaming opinion here. Brett from Cincinnati, Ohio. Controversial gaming opinion. Sony's first party has been stagnant this generation. I'm tired of third-person action adventure games with light RPG elements, and that's all they are offering. Where's the creativity? Where's the Sony that also supported smaller indie games in the PS4 era? Or who would release stuff like Concrete Genie? Instead, it's just the same type over and over again. You're not wrong.
He's right. They don't give a shit about that stuff.
I've had this opinion myself for a while. Like, again, I enjoy those type of games. Yes. But look back on the PS4 generation or even PS3, like there was a wide variety. They used to make first person shooters.
Yeah. Yeah. They
weren't the greatest, but they did
2
it.
of them.
Yeah. Resistance and Killzone.
Right. Now they're both gone. But the thing is everything is this generation, it's been all the best games are sequels.
They are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. God of War,
Last of Us,
Horizon, Last of Us for some people.
But you know what I mean? Like, but all of the critically acclaimed change the world games are all sequels to established franchises.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and a good,
we need something new.
On a good stat, like, obviously MLB, it has like 7 times as many people playing on Xbox than PlayStation. Oh, because it's on Game Pass.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah. Weird. But yeah, I don't disagree. Like I felt that way for a while.
He's not wrong. With Sony, you know what you're getting. Look at the next big game they have coming out. It's a sequel.
Yeah.
I would also. I mean, not a bad game. Dragging it down here, but Spider-Man is also a third-person action adventure with light RPG.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Look at it too. It's a sequel.
I like Spider-Man.
I'm absolutely am for that game, but I agree.
It is that type of game again.
Not playing anything new.
Yeah. Next one we got is from Rupert from Delano, Tennessee. Says, controversial gaming opinion. I hate PC gaming. I know we have things like PC Master Race all the time, but when you spend 2 hours fine tweaking a game to your specific standards, what's the point? And on top of that, all the broken PC ports that are being released lately, it just seems like the worst place to play. I'd rather buy a disc, pop it into my console, and have the same experience as everyone else. Update those drivers. No thanks, man.
We talked about this before.
I also don't disagree.
It's just a pain. PC gaming is just a pain in the ass. Like it is.
I couldn't tell you the couple times that like I would sit down to play with my buddy Ross, like something on PC where it's like we sit down. It's like, oh, I have to fix this real quick first because this isn't working or that isn't working, or I have to do this Windows
or
update
somehow you're playing two different versions.
Yeah.
That's weird. How did that happen? It's just drivers, and your graphics card's different than mine. Your processor's different than mine. It's like everything's different. I don't have the same amount of RAM you do. It's just like everything about it is insane. And
it is.
Every game constantly, like, I feel like games on PC need far more updates than console games ever.
Oh, for sure.
They do. Every time I open up Steam,
12, 13, like
12, 13 games I've installed need an update.
Yeah.
There are some games that I purposely uninstall because they update every time I turn Steam on. So
there you go.
Final email we have this week comes from Crystal from Omaha, Nebraska. It says, hi guys, I've enjoyed the conversation surrounding the 30 frames, 60 frames debate that you've had not only on the podcast, but on Kyle's Marvel Gallery channel. I was curious if you guys are playing Zelda, and if so, how do you feel about it being 30 frames as opposed to those other games? Is it still a tough pill to swallow for you, or do you simply not notice it? Personally, I put quite a bit of time into the game, and after getting over the first hour of it being 30 frames, I just don't notice it anymore. Thanks. It's so weird to say because like when I start, like when I had the same experience, like when I started the game, is it noticeable that the game's 30 frames? Absolutely. I don't give a fuck anymore.
I think
as I play, it's so immersive that I don't.
Part of the argument about like 30 versus 60 is expectations. Like
it's also what type of
game. I think when I think of a Nintendo game, I don't expect 60. I expect
quality.
I don't expect anything over 1080. Like I expect it to be a quality game where the gameplay is good and the game is not broken. And if those things are true, then the frame rate might worry me in the beginning, but after a while, I'm just playing the game. But a game like Redfall, which is the opposite of this, where this
is a shooter.
This is now a first-party shooter for Xbox Series X. That is 30 frames and says we might hit 60 at some point. I guess, sure. But like the expectation for first party Series X or PlayStation 5 games for that matter, the expectation should be 60, 1080.
Yeah.
And anything above that is better.
Do you think Spider-Man 2 do you think there's any way Spider-Man 2 comes out and it's 30
It
only?
Fucking can't be. It cannot
I don't
be.
think it can be.
What the hell is your problem if that game is 30?
I think it has the two modes.
Sure. And that's fine. Give me the choice.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't care about that.
Well, for Zelda, I would say, like, would it be nice? And this was actually what I thought about the other day. Like, if we get, let's say, because like Nintendo has come out and they've said like we won't launch a new Nintendo before April 2024. All they're saying there is that it won't launch before.
They're just saying be quiet.
Launching it in April 2024.
No, they're saying be quiet.
Let's say hypothetically they are to put a new Switch out next fall.
Yeah.
So 2024, which seems realistic. And obviously it would have to play. It's going to have to play these games. There's no way they can get around not having backwards compatibility. It's not possible.
Big problem if it is.
Would 60 frames benefit Zelda on a newer system? Absolutely. Right. But I'm not, like, as I play the game, I'm so immersed into what's going on, where I'm going, that I don't even think about it.
I also don't think that they care or they would care enough to patch it, to be fair. Like, Nintendo's track record with stuff they've released is we have forgotten it and we are moving on to the next thing. Like they kill games insanely fast. Even games that are incredibly popular, have active communities, they murder them. Splatoon dies.
Splatoon 2 for Splatoon
Animal Crossing's dead. And that was
Is it really?
Well, they're not going to make new content for it. That was the biggest the biggest game of the world during the pandemic.
The first 2 months.
Not even. I would argue 6 months to a year.
Longer.
People played that game constantly. It was on YouTube, Twitch, constantly. It was the biggest thing they had. And it's already done. They put out that one big expansion, said, all right, we're moving on. And the thing with them is moving on doesn't mean we're moving on to the next Animal Crossing game. It means we're moving on. Like, it doesn't mean you're getting another one. So could they do it? Sure. Should Switch Pro stuff do 60 frames? That thing better. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, I don't get it. But
I don't think it's like the Wii U where like Wii U to Switch you had a couple like really good Wii U games you re-released. Are you going to sit here and do that for the next Switch?
No. The Switch games will run on a Switch Pro as if it were a Switch.
Yep.
That's it. The screen,
and also because that the eShop will.
Let's talk about the biggest realistic things for a Switch Pro are that screen is better, and
it'll be OLED this time.
Yes, the screen is better, and the processor is better. That's all they're going to change. They won't even give a shit to put more memory in it. They don't care about that.
How much do you want to bet it uses the same controllers?
The same. It would have to.
You think?
Is there a problem with the controller? I don't think there is.
No, I don't think so. Like
the Pro controller is an incredible controller.
I mean, if you're no, but I'm talking about like the
it would have to use the Joy-Cons.
The Joy-Cons.
It would have to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would say it's a incredible controller when you turn that thing sideways, but
only because of the size.
Yeah. Oh, the Pro controller is just an Xbox controller. I have no problem with that. It's literally an Xbox controller. Like,
yeah,
that's one of the best things when I sit down to play Zelda. I'm like, it feels like
the whole frame rate problem is like it's expectations, like and it's when things don't make sense. We talked about it before, the Tales of Symphonia thing. It doesn't make sense that a game from 2004,
so 20 years ago,
runs better than the remaster of it on a much more powerful system. That's inexplicable. So my expectations are that game should be 60 frames because the GameCube version was, and it's not.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, because I can't imagine going to play that version of that game now when I could just get out
I can't either.
Not even that. I could get out my fucking Wii and it would run properly.
yeah, you're not wrong.
So
I always forget that's backwards compatible.
Well, most models, but yes. But yeah, I could get out my Wii and it would work correctly. So that's what kills that kind of stuff. But for a first party game, not Nintendo, to not be 60 frames, there's not an excuse anymore.
Different.
Like Starfield's going to be a problem.
Also, like even if you're trying to sit here and like ask a system, the hardware that is 6 years old to run this Zelda game now, suddenly it's 60. No,
I don't expect it. But Nintendo games also look a certain way and control a certain way that it doesn't really bother me over the course of the.
It doesn't bother me at all.
It's not Twitch gameplay. It's not, no. it's something else.
So
agreed.
But anyways, as always, send your emails to podcast572@gmail.com. We enjoy reading them all.
If you have more controversial stuff, send it in. Like, they're all good.
Send more. We enjoy the controversial gaming opinions.
Yes.
If you have more to say about GameStop Pro,
please
send that in as well. So, but otherwise, we're going to wrap it up here for this edition of Podcast 572. We'll be back in another 2 weeks. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.